All-Star Superman is it's kind of a one-off story, kind of a non-canonical one-off story, which is basically is just like, what is the essence of Superman? What makes him good, or what makes him Superman? And it hits it. It hits it more perfectly than any Superman story I've ever read. It really hits on the fact that, well, my favorite comparison is between him and Batman. When it comes to Batman, Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman is who he really is.
Yeah.
And for Superman is the mask. Clark Kent is who he really is.
You mean the other way around? He really is Superman. But
The mask is Superman. He really is Clark Kent. That's who he is. When it comes down to it, he is a farm boy from Kansas. That's the way he was raised, and that's the way
he's kind of
he actually is.
Ain't he?
That's the way he actually is. Superman is kind of a front to be a symbol, to be heroic, but when it comes down to it, he really is just a farm boy from Kansas. Every opportunity when he's kind of his guard's down, that's what he sounds like. He sounds like a Boy Scout from Kansas. Whereas Batman, it really is Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman is who he actually is. Bruce Wayne is just something he puts on to kind of fool the world.
Well, there's actually a funny thing that touches on the Batman one in particular, because I think it was, I forgot what animated thing they had put together, but Wonder Woman had wrapped him up with the lasso of truth and asked for his name, and he said Batman, because he's so entrenched in the idea that Bruce Wayne died a long time ago, and that's just his cover, and that he has 100% in fact become Batman. That's who he identifies as, and that's who he is.
Oh yeah, one time in Batman Beyond, they tried to somehow they managed to get some sort of chip onto Bruce Wayne's head, and to kind of mess with him, to talk with him in his voice, so it seems like he's hearing things. And he said he could tell it was fake. That's the way he was able to fight it. He was able to tell it was fake because it kept calling him Bruce he said, that's not what I call myself.
Yeah, there was some other story that had a joke about that, where it was he had a mind invader going on and kept calling him Bruce, and it was that's not what I call myself in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. But yeah, All-Star Superman encapsulates that Superman. The fact that he is Bruce Wayne. He's supposed to be humanized, and that's his deep empathy. And All-Star Superman really goes into it even further on why he might have a little more empathy, even more than his peers. It's really good. But yeah, it's the best Superman story I've ever read. And it made me actually like him, because otherwise I think Superman is boring as shit.
Yeah.
He has the most boring. But that story, Grant Morrison brings out what makes Superman, or what, if he's written well, what makes Superman really cool. And he pulls it off with All-Star Superman. It's super fucking... Yeah. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm a big fan of Grant Morrison. Not everything he's done has been a hit, but he's usually very willing to explore and to try new things and to not just do the same old. New X-Men, that all that stuff is pretty much due to him, like it or hate it, the Cassandra Nova and all that stuff.
Hello and welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast, episode 128. We're not dead. We're doing well.
We need to end this
in
joke.
fact, we've grown. We're evolving.
Yeah.
We're a trio yet again.
Are we a Pokemon? Are we back to a third evolution?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doug Trio. Yep. That's us.
Oh
now.
God! Don't make us Doug Trio.
Well, now we know the thumbnail for this week.
No, we don't. No, we do not know what that thumbnail is for this week yet.
Just Photoshop our heads on a Doug Trio.
That sounds like a lot of work I don't want to do.
Just do a really cheaply done version of it.
Are you implying my thumbnails are cheap and easy to do?
No, I said make this one.
Well, they are.
But yes, welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast. Like I said, this is a three-man crew running today, episode 128. I am joined here today with Charlie, aka Mordak, and then the new sheriff in town, Henry. I don't know your gamer tag, but if you want to share that with us.
Kraken Zero, right?
Yep, that's one of my gamer tags. The other one is Nomad HAR, and that's how I am everywhere on the internet, pretty much.
There you go, Nomad HAR, aka Henry. But yes, we're here, episode 128. We got a lot to go over today with some cool stuff, some interesting news, some intellectual anecdotes, if you will, and overall good times.
Yeah, at first it seemed like the week was going to be, I guess, kind of slow, and then everything happened. Literally, just everything happened.
Here's chomping
everything.
at the bit this week. This is an entire preamble of me being like, "No, we can't talk about this. Is an actual conversation for the podcast. Stop it." They're all very good points.
When we were doing our quick briefing, we just kept bringing something like, "No, stop, save it,
save it."
So,
should we get weeks done quickly so you two can go nuts on the topics or our news this week?
Oh yeah, that'll work for me.
Sure.
I guess I'll go first this time.
Yeah, why not?
I got kind of a quick week, so it's not bad. I finally played sat down and played some good Red Dead Redemption 2, and I gotta say,
did you play or did you watch it?
No, I actually played.
Ooh.
I started my own game and everything, and all that. So it's, I gotta say, I really enjoy the level of detail on some of this stuff. Like, I know you complained about the magazine stuff.
It's impressive detail, but also it's too much detail. It's like, this is really impressive. This does not need to be here, but man, is this impressive.
Yeah, no, it is insane. But you know what? I really appreciate it.
Oh no, I do too. But you get what I'm talking about though too, where it's like, holy shit, this does not need to be here. Good on you for doing. It's like making a 12-story wedding cake when a 5-story would have sufficed. It's like, yeah, power to you, but damn.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But so I got a chance to play some of it, and that was kind of nice. Been playing, of course, some more WoW, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Did you play WoW Classic?
WoW Classic?
No, I actually, I'm not a huge fan of Classic. Let's be honest. It's got a nice niche audience, and hey, more power to them. I may jump on as a casual thing, but I like some of the evolution of the current game.
It does come free with your
Yeah, no, it does for sure. But I think the demo also shuts down tomorrow, so I don't kind of care, to be honest.
I think it shuts down today. They were recording it, but I don't know.
So I did a little bit of that during BlizzCon. I actually need to go back and watch some of the panels because I really want to try to get some more information off of those. And there were some interviews and stuff like that I want to see as well. So
now that we're past making fun of it.
Yeah, so I can get more material to make fun of them for.
Yeah.
But also provide, a comical response, if you will, but also provide a actually informed and legitimate response.
No one should be informed by this podcast.
We provide laughter, but we also like to educate.
Yeah.
It's a nice medium, if you will.
The more you know.
Yeah. So did that. The neighbor drama seems to have been finalized now. All I know is neighbor
kicked out or something?
In trouble. No, they're still here, but my understanding is the neighbor wants to apologize to us for being all sorts of crazy. So we're pretty much she's on our terms right now in terms of when we can set up the apology thing. So we'll probably just set that up too and be like, look, I just want to move forward. Let's just be done with it.
Claim her apartment as your own and make 2 apartments.
This sounds like a plot from what is that show? 30 Rock, where
that's literally
Tina
a plot
Fey
from that
buys
show.
both
Yes.
apartments. Yes.
That's literally a plot from that show.
Yes. This actually sounds like a good idea.
See, I would have thought more it would be an Always Sunny type plot, but
no, Always Sunny has a beautiful level of weird obscene plots.
If this was
playing
me
both
doing
sides of a.
Alex is more in the 30 Rock, where it's the happy, good-naturedness to it. If this was me doing it, it'd be a Sunny plot, I think, where it's like, what are you gonna do with that second apartment? I don't know, store garbage in it, because fuck you. What do you want?
Yeah. I'm gonna collect government benefits by getting addicted to coke. Or meth, was it? Yeah, it was meth.
It was
crack.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, okay.
It was crack.
Yeah.
because it's Philly.
So, yeah. But yeah, so that seems to have fizzled out, which I'm glad. It was getting annoying. Still no Wi-Fi for them, though. Other than that, it's been kind of an okay week for game. Oh, I've been playing some more Final Fantasy 14. And I think I may resub that and kind of see where this goes for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lapse the WoW subscription. I'm gonna keep that one going for the combo.
That one's gonna keep going for a while. I do that because I raid and I like raiding, and so once I actually get caught up in maybe some decent gear and leveling for my current character in Final Fantasy 14, I may consider letting it lapse, maybe. But there's got to be a huge draw in that for me to stay. So right now I'm just leveling up past some of the beginning stuff, which is nice. But I will say they do have these like experience boost servers where like they're not so populated, but if you level up a character on there, you get like insane levels of XP.
Can you?
So
that's pretty cool.
Is your character locked to a server or no?
Right now it is, but it's a more populated server, so I might switch that up and just do like a beginner, like newer server with low pop, because they give you obscene levels of like experience. Like I kill a few mobs and you just shoot up to the next level immediately. It's insane.
That's kind of cool.
So, yeah.
Like, could you then transfer that character off that server, or if like I was on a different server, could you play with me or no?
You can still play with other people on a different server.
Okay.
Understanding.
There is cross server built in. Cool.
There is some cross server stuff built in. So.
You get like kicked off the beginner server onto a real server eventually, or no?
You can, but I think you have to. It's only very specific times you can do that.
Okay. Yeah, because I think it was Black Desert Online had a concept of you were on a beginner server until you weren't. Like you'd hit max load and they'd take, or like, you got like halfway through the game, and then they would actively move your character from a beginner server to a real server.
Huh.
I could be remembering that wrong. There was something about how you eventually you would be shifted from one server to another.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, the idea was that most people never make it past like the first half of the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, the early grinding can be a rough thing to try to push through.
Yeah. Well, in Black Desert Online's case, it was the game is free once you buy the game. There's no subscription to it. And it was like, okay, like we're not going to bother putting you on the main server if there's a decent chance you're not going to get past level 20.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That game's weird, though, too, where all of your characters are one account. And by that, I mean, like, your characters work in tandem with each other. Like, any businesses you owned are shared by your character's family tree, which is all of your characters. So the more characters you have, the better you are at that game. It's real weird to wrap your head around.
Huh. I kind of like that idea.
It's neat, but you also want to put a situation where like you'll have a low-level character you basically park at a crafting location. That's only job is to craft because there's no fast travel in that game, and getting back from like your grinding areas to your towns is a fucking pain in the ass.
That's hilarious. One poor character. I want to be a hero. I've signed on and I'm ready to be a hero. You sit here and you build things. That's what you do. You're the hero of building things.
You joke, but there's like enough professions in that game where you're going to have like your 2 or 3 main hero characters and then like a fucking sweatshop of level 10s just alchemying and blacksmithing and tailoring for you, and just sending it off to the front to your real character who's like, yes, my homestead is dealing with this. Work harder, peons!
Yep, because when handed a vibrant fantasy realm, we just turn it into our reality because we are horrible and we are the real monster.
No, that game starts off in our reality. Like that game is very upfront about what type of game that game is. Like, the end game for that game is PvP.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay, so it's just, humans are terrible. Yep.
Yeah, that game's end game is guild versus guild, like, castle sieging. Which is cool, but also, like, if you don't like PvP, not great for the end user.
See? Because humans are the real monsters.
Yeah, that is kind of the point of that game.
Yeah. Well, that's, yeah.
Yeah. Fair. I'll go next, I guess. This may be my last week to talk about Red Dead Redemption in depth before I beat it, because I feel like I hit a weird wall this week, and maybe this will be useful advice to you, Alex, but, like, maybe before you start messing around with the side activities, get to, like, the third or fourth chapter at least, because I'm getting real sick of the fact that the game, like, I'm easily 40 hours into that game. Playtime, not like linear story time. And the game keeps, like, making me do missions that explain a mechanic I had to figure out on my own. Like, I just did a bank heist, which is a thing you can do in that game, and they're real cool. But I, like, stumbled through that on my own the first couple times and had no idea what the fuck was going on. Like, robbing a train also happens in that game, and this is a worse version of a train robbery by my standards. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I do have one really fucking cool story from that game this week, and it's maybe a little spoilery, but not really, because it's not a major plot point of any kind. So, there's a stranger mission in that game that you are helping a dude out his down his luck. That's kind of how most stranger missions are, and it ends in a very interesting way. I'm not going to go into the actual details of the mission, because the reveal is really cool, but suffice to say, you learn that this guy is not a good man. Very much not a good man, depending on certain feelings on certain topics. And the game even is written that, like, Arthur Morgan is disgusted with this guy. And the stranger mission ends with kind of this guy, like, on the ground, feeling sorry for himself, feeling real pitiful and shit. And then it ends, you get credit for it. And that gives you an open world moment if you can do whatever the fuck you want. So I choose to shoot him in the head, which then led to him falling into his campfire and lighting himself on fire, which then, like, flash forward 10 seconds, his body that deserves to be in hell is on fire, wow. Catches his entire fucking camp on fire, and me just slow-mo walking away going, hell's too good for you, motherfucker. That sequence that is not scripted in any way is my favorite moment in Red Dead Redemption, and nothing since then has topped it, where it's like, no, you deserve to die, and I got to watch Hellfire claim him because he fell face first dead into a bonfire, and I'm like, yeah, that was the right choice. I felt really cool in that moment.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, on the opposite end of the spectrum.
In engine. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It's just awesome that, like, perfect little moments like that, non-scripted.
It was unbelievably
engine,
cool that it happened.
You know,
like,
everything is in there to
create
moments like that. That's pretty awesome.
Awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah. So I played 2 games this week. I played 3 games actually. Technically, I played some more Warframe. I played that Fortuna update. Second open world update, because Plains of Edonia, Endoline, however you pronounce it, was this year's is on Venus. The open world update, right? I like this one a lot more than last year's one. I like it. It's good. You got hoverboards.
And how is it? Tell us.
I really wish I could say I think Warframe is a better game than Destiny at this point. I really
do.
But they have yet to fix my ongoing issue with Warframe, which is I don't like how guns feel in that game. They just don't feel as good as Destiny. But at the same time, like, if you're thinking about picking up a loot shooter, pick up Warframe. For the love of God, pick up Warframe. It's a really good game, and it's free.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's free. So.
Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's I've been very resistant to picking up a lot of games, to be honest. Like, because I'm like, it's anything with a big upfront price or a big monthly fee. I'm always, I guess everybody might be a little resistant to that, but yeah, Warframe is free. I'm holding off on installing several things until I get a bigger hard drive. I'm kind of out of room on mine.
Yeah.
See, I'm using a solid state drive, so I need a bigger solid state drive. I'm just going to wait until Cyber Monday and pick up a nice one.
I did the split thing where all my OS and boot stuff is on solid state, everything else is sort of normal hard drive.
That's
I'm a crazy person.
yeah. Well, I have all of my programs, my operating system, and all my installs are on my solid state, and then all my data and stuff is on my other drive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just want a larger solid state to run my programs off of now. So
No, that makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, no, Fortuna's good. It's Venus is on that in that game is cool. I still really hate the population of Fortuna's character design, but whatever. It's a bizarre like robot human hybrid thing. I just think it looks dumb, but it's effective in what it's trying to do. But also, like, who cares? That game is still really fucking cool. Yeah. But on the opposite spectrum from that, I played The Quiet Man.
I don't know anything about that.
The Quiet Man is a game from Square Enix that was revealed at E3 this year, so 2018. It has gained some notoriety, and not good notoriety, in the kind of what the fuck category of notoriety, and yeah. I don't know how I feel about The Quiet Man, having played all of The Quiet Man. You can beat The Quiet Man kind of in 3 hours. I played start to finish in one sitting last night. It is available on PS4 and Steam, and I assume Xbox, but don't quote me on that one. I didn't look it up. I paid $15 for it. I would definitely not pay more than $15 for it. That game is a bold game. It is trying to do something unbelievably kind of bold and artistic and different. It is trying to do a thing, and I think it successfully does that thing, but it is also an unbelievably bad game. And also, it successfully does its thing, but also I don't think it does its thing well. So you play as, I don't even fucking know his name, because we're going to get to that little detail in a second. You play as white dude who's really good at martial arts, who's either like a hitter or a fixer or a specialist or something for some, I think it's New York, but it could be somewhere else, crime syndicate, and you are deaf. And to represent this, almost the entirety of the game is portrayed as though you are deaf. Meaning there's like background music and the combat has some sound effects, but there are long cutscenes of people fucking talking at you where you watch the cutscene and there is no sound except like background music. And the first 10 times it's kind of cool, and then you get really fucking bored and realize you have no idea what the shit is going on in that game.
Well, unless they did like super accurate lips, which I'm going to say no. You can't lip read, because somebody that's actually deaf would either be lip reading or people would speak to you in sign language. Does anybody speak to you in sign language?
Yes, but you don't, like, there's no translation of the sign language to anything you can understand unless you know sign language.
Well, I guess, at least there's that. At least some people do communicate to you in sign language, which is how you would get around. It's not going to actually...
Yes, but I don't know sign language, and the game does not translate it.
Well, I guess that means you have to learn it, don't you?
And to take a step back, this is an FMV game.
Yeah.
Except when it's not. And the transition, so sometimes the game is FMV and sometimes it isn't. And maybe you can lip read the FMV parts. I don't know. I can't really do that. But beyond that, there are like fucking 10-minute long Kojima-esque cutscenes where when you're playing through this the first time, there is nothing you can understand, and it's a choice.
Yeah, that seems...
maybe a bad one.
Yeah, that seems weird that they didn't, give you some tools, because, as a person with hearing impairment, you have things, like I said, you read lips, you know sign language. It's not like you're just completely lost. I mean,
It
because this
gets weirder than that too. Because there are points in the game where your character in an FMV or a cutscene fucking talks to other people. I mean, like, talks, like, using his mouth talks,
yeah.
and you can't hear what he's saying either. Like, I'd assume, even if you're deaf, you at least kind of have that internal in your head voice saying, okay, I'm saying this.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't hear yourself, but you're saying it. I mean, that's the. I mean, yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like, and you can kind of feel it. You can feel yourself speak because, yeah, I mean, you can just feel. You can feel the vibrations.
Yep.
I mean, that's how you learn when you're deaf is through
Yep.
sort of the feelings and vibrations and stuff of how it feels,
Yep.
how to produce the right sounds. But that's kind of an aside. I'm looking at the game now. I pulled it up on Steam. It's mostly negative. That's
It is a so and to take a step back from a like they tried to do a thing. It is a bold thing. Whether or not I think they successfully did that well or not is a separate topic. There's something I want to talk about, but it might be a spoiler. But I don't know. But we're gonna talk about something else first, which is like, even if you could understand what the fuck was going on, the combat for this game is terrible. Like, it also never explains it in a useful way. So you have a normal attack, a dodge, a like heavy push, and a light push, and a focus thing. And the game does nothing to explain this. And there are 3 enemies in the game: bosses, guys wearing ski masks, and normal people. And there's like 9 enemy models in the entire game that they keep reusing over and over, and sometimes ski mask guys have weapons and sometimes they don't. And playing this game, like every 10 minutes I was playing this game, I was wondering, what the fuck am I doing? Like, you can just stop. You've played enough to talk about this shit. But I kept going, and about halfway through that game, there is a dramatic, temporary difficulty spike. The first, like, real boss fight you get into is unbelievably hard compared to the rest of that game to that point, which you could just fucking mash through like a crazy person. And then it goes back to pretty easy for a while, and then there's another boss fight that fucking sucks to do. Like, every time the boss fights happen, they are just grueling reminders of how bad the combat in this game is, which the other fights also aren't great combat either. Like, it's a bad game that's trying to do something really cool, and like, spoiler, I guess, but they've been pretty upfront in the marketing for this thing too. So, like, you beat the game, and then the game goes like, hey, you've unlocked sound on mode. And as a teaser for that, they drop a couple like cutscenes that you were witness for, or that were in the primary, in your original path, with sound. And God help me, I beat it. I'm sitting there on the couch like, fuck it, yes, I can go play Red Dead now. I played this for the podcast. They drop a couple things, and I'm like, oh shit, I think I want to play this game again, because I need to know, because what you just said, like, completely recontextualizes this game, and it's fucked up, and I don't want to play this game ever again, because playing this game was painful. And I wish I could have just done, like, with audio mode from the beginning, or like, I do not know what that game is about. I know how it ends, and I think I now kind of get the gist of it based on that little teaser, but I do not know what that game is about at the end of the day. It is confusing, and as much as I want to know what the fuck happened, I don't want to play more of that game. It is bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing from the reviews on it. It seems like it's, pretty horse reviews. I mean, and some of them are really in-depth reviews, too. I mean, people aren't just saying, I hate this game. They're saying, I hate this game for these very specific reasons.
Yeah, I love FMV games. Like, it's a throwback to an era that no longer exists. Like, go back and watch our quick look of Night Shift from last year. I think that game is great. Like, I love when FMV is used well, but like, FMV in this game is used weirdly, like, and this is not meant to be a derogatory comment. So your character in FMV and your character in Model don't look the same, and by that I mean in FMV you're kind of this thin, very martial arty inspired, like biker jack wearing white dude. The first time they showed the 3D model for the main character, I thought I was playing as a woman briefly, because the model is like bad and the hair is really badly done, where it's like so much of this game feels like, from a character standpoint at least, they went and like downloaded generic, maybe Hispanic gangster 1 through 7, and then just a couple kind of costume changes. The backgrounds frequently are beautiful, except when they're not. Like, you'll have a really well done like street scene with one shittily rendered green car or something that you're like, man, did they fit the texture on that thing or something?
Yeah, they may well have. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'm not unconvinced they didn't use a female, like, base stock model for the main character's body in this game, because the number of times, like, you'd be doing something, and I'm like, am I playing a girl all of a sudden? What the fuck? Like, no, I'm pretty sure it's a male main character, but I don't know. Like, literally, that's how bad the model is. Like, there's an ambiguity to it, but not in a good way, in a, like, man, this was fucking lazy kind of way. Yeah, like, and the downshift is so weird, because the FMV is good. It's video, it looks real, it's well done FMV, and then you go to, like, maybe not, like, mid-tier PS3, Xbox 360 era graphics, but, like, definitely not current PS4, Xbox One graphics, and you're like, man, this is a downstep. I went from seeing the pores in this dude's face to being like, that hair doesn't move at all.
Yeah, they probably had some in-engine issues, I'm guessing, where they had to get
I
using
don't know.
multiple, more than one mesh.
I don't know. It does something kind of cool, and that's where I'm conflicted, because, like, I know me. I'm eventually going to go back and play through this game, but it's not going to be for a long time, because playing this game was bad. Really bad. And the audio will give me a context, and I'm curious about that context, because the context seems cool, or at least kind of intriguing enough it might keep me going in the game. But the second gameplay is just garbage. And no amount of audio will fix that.
Yeah. I do like experimental games. I definitely like it when somebody tries to do something new. Somebody tries to do something a little different. And this, I mean, yeah, from the way on paper it's described, it sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that seem cool on paper. I'll just,
well, like, we checked out a game a couple years ago now at, the, like, what's it called, Alex? Indiecade or whatever it was called out here.
Yeah,
where you played as someone who was blind, and
oh yes,
you used like echolocation to map out the rooms, and like not quite the same thing, but like you could only see the space you were in when you were making sound, and it was a stealth game. So
that's a cool idea.
It was really well executed. I liked it. I don't know if that game ever came out though.
I think it did. I'm blanking on the name though, but it's like. The entire time I was playing The Quiet Man, I kept thinking of that game, and I'm like, man, that game was so much cooler than this game is. And this game, like, has the backing of Square Enix behind it. Mm-hmm. A major video game place.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, video game places are just made up of people who can make terrible, terrible decisions. And so who rubber stamped this game and said, no, this is great? That's my question.
I don't know. And people compare it to the Bouncer a bunch, I guess. Ooh, I get that comparison.
That's not a good comparison.
It's not.
That is, ouch. Ouch. Because that's an awful game.
Some people have fondness for it. I would say this game is worse than the Bouncer.
That's bad. That's real bad.
I'll even go so far as I get the impression like the deaf community is pretty upset about this game. Which I find, yeah.
Well, I think maybe I can definitely see why, because it's in a certain way, it's kind of insulting in a certain. I think I don't know. It just sounds like it's so badly done. I wouldn't want to be associated with the game either.
Yeah, I guess like it's a game you would assume the dev community to be all over. Is like, nah, we're not sure how we feel about this.
Yeah.
We're not fans. We find this problematic. And the best part is trying to look this up. You want to put in the quiet place a lot, and I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah. That came up too when I was at yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, not all experiments work out. Virtual Boy.
Yeah, like I said, this game is bold, but like with many bold ideas, went awry somewhere, and I want those 3 hours back. And if you're curious, if it's still $15,
it's on sale.
maybe.
Actually, it's a little cheaper.
Yeah.
It's like $13.50 or so.
That may be what I paid for it. I don't know. If you get down to 10, it's a 3 or 6 hour game, depending how you look at it. I died a bunch at one point too, so it's probably shorter than that even. If you're curious, go check it out. It's a 2 out of 5 kind of thing at best. I'd call it a 1 out of 5 if I thought but it's a video game. It is a functioning video game. It's just not good, but it's so bad at times. I wish it wasn't working correctly. No, this is working as intended. The intent is just bad. Yeah. What have you been up to, Henry?
Well, this week I finally bought and downloaded Darkest Dungeon.
Woo! That's a good game.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of roguelikes in general, and what I would also call rogue-ish games, which are the games that aren't sort of turn-based but are still have procedurally generated content. And Darkest Dungeon, wow, the game out right off the bat, it hates you. It's just no, everybody is going to die. Everything is terrible.
Yep.
It's the world is terrible. Everything's terrible. If you aren't familiar with it, for those listening, it is a game. It is a roguelike. You basically have people in your party, and you go into dungeons, and you have essentially what comes to a stress or sanity meter. And when that starts to fill up, and in general, your players or your characters can just pick up psychological aspects, both positive and negative. And so they could become like a kleptomaniac, which means that every time you come across items in the game, they just steal them all, and it doesn't appear in your inventory. So
oh yeah, the affliction system for that game is fascinating.
It's
and
so
the way
good.
You deal with them is logical and terrible at the same time.
Sanitarium is one place.
Whorehouse is another.
Yep. The bar is another. I mean, there's a church as well. I mean, it's such a good game, and yeah, I'm very happy with it. I mean, I picked it up. It is brutal though. I've been playing it on easiest setting, and it's still ruining me. It's still
that game was. That game is like slow masturbating to your character death. It's like, oh, I'm going to kill everyone!
And excruciatingly. And because when they start to go mad, if they go the right type of mad or the wrong type of mad, they can just start attacking the other people, hurting themselves. I mean, the game gets dark, and it's fascinating because, well, this is another game I'd say it's very much experimental in a lot of ways. I haven't seen a game track, sanity and effects like that. And that's the thing, it makes super sense for a dungeon crawler. Dungeons in general are I'd hate to be tempting monsters in dungeons too. But I imagine it might do things to you. And so you end up with just a party of pretty serious PTSD afflicted dungeon delvers, and it gets to the point you just have to let some of them go. Their stress or sanity level is so high that you just have to dismiss them. You can't actually do anything about them. They're useless as a party member now. I mean, I like that because I've also run Call of Cthulhu campaigns, which
like
pencil and paper type of campaigns. I've been a game master for those, and yeah, those are exactly like that. You end up with this cast of characters that, with all these weird afflictions, all these weird, all these pretty horrible things that are going on with them, but you just have to kind of keep venturing forth because you can only have so many people in general. Like in Darkest Dungeon, I mean, your roster is limited, and if you send somebody for treatment, any one of the various treatments, you lose them for the week, and you can't use them in the dungeon.
Yeah, you must venture forth, even if it might kill you.
Yeah, it's just the game actively. I've played very few games that are this much like, I hate the player. Like, you are not meant to finish this game. Like, you are really, really not meant to ever finish this game or to
It's got
succeed.
A cool ending.
Yeah.
How far are you so far?
Not very far. I'm just
Okay.
getting annihilated. Let's see how many hours in I am. I am 4 hours in.
Oh yeah, no, you know nothing yet.
But yeah, the game is...
The game gets real cool.
Yeah. It's already just super punishing. I mean, it's hard just keeping anybody alive. And that's the thing. It's like, this game, more than any other game I've ever played, you just have to get used to the idea of you're going to lose most of the people that you have in the game. Most of the characters you have in the game, they're going to die. Or else you're going to have to or you have to let them go because they got too crazy.
Yeah, every dungeon clear is like, oh god, we did it. Thank fucking god.
And also, alright, so who needs treatment and who is beyond treatment? It's such a dark game, but yeah, it's super good. I really love games like that because where if you've played other dungeon crawlers, like Eye of the Beholder or any of the old the D&D SSI games, you get kind of used to your characters maybe not surviving, and used to, or wizardry as well, like having to go and recruit new members for your party. And Darkest Dungeon just takes that to the extreme in that now you have to deal with the fact that there are lingering effects from going into the dungeon. So that's not all just like, well, we made it out of the dungeon. Everything's great now. Everything's perfect. Nope. It's horrific. And the end.
It's a turn-based system, right? Like,
yes.
It's yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you take a turn, they take a turn. You determine what you're going to do on your turn. I mean, so every character has their own skill tree. But yeah, but the skill trees are pretty cool. I mean, they aren't super detailed, but there's enough variance in the different types of characters. There's a lot of variance between the different types of classes that a character. And that's also nice.
Sure.
And it's nice, but it's like, don't get too attached. You find a character you like, oh, they have great skills, oh, I put the good armor on them, and then they just get so filled with crazy, you just have to let them go. It's like, well, I guess that didn't work out. Or even worse, if they just die and you don't get any of your stuff back. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you start going in the game, you can get to the point where you just have no money. If you get too attached to characters and keep trying to bring them back from the brink by continual treatment, you will just drain all of your money, and you'll have no more money to actually go out. Because you have to have provisions, because there's food, because of course there's food, because people get hungry, and torches, and food and torches. So you have to have plenty of those going down into the dungeon, and that's money. And so if you don't have any of that, then your dungeon crawling is going to be very, very not great. It's not going to work out very well for you.
Which version of the game are you playing? I think there's been like 3 or 4 revisions to the game with like added on content. You're playing, I think, like air quotations, complete edition.
Yeah, I picked up the more complete edition. It has like the DLCs.
Okay.
All right, so like the Color of Madness and Crimson Court, which I'm not even using those in the current campaign that I'm running on, because those are kind of advanced campaigns. And then the Shield Breaker, which is another class. And then
okay.
So I got the complete edition.
Gotcha. I was just curious which iteration you were playing, because I got the impression that like the base game is hard, the expansions are like, oh, you thought that was hard?
Yeah, I'm just playing the base game right now. The expansions look cool. I really like the way they look. And even everything about the game, it's immersive. Even the art style gives off that sort of gritty, realistic, everything's terrible sort of.
It's like a cool dark outline style too. Like I love the way that game looks.
Yeah,
it's a cool
game. Yeah, we're really well put together game. I've been watching people play it for a while now because this is far from a new game, but it's super good. And it's kind of it's right up my alley because I am a big fan of roguelike and roguish games, like Curse of the Necrodancer. That's another one. And that one's more strictly a roguelike. It even has the steps. Every step is that's a strict roguelike. And Darkest Dungeon is pretty close to a roguelike, but yeah, super good. And that's mainly what I've been playing this week. I of course always go back to a few of my favorites. I play a bit of Left 4 Dead 2 and some awesome 20XX or 2000XX, whatever. But yeah, otherwise my week has been, I don't know. I haven't really, not a whole lot else going on game wise. So that was just the main thing.
You two ready for news?
Sure, we got a lot of it too.
Yeah.
All right, where do you monsters want to start?
You want me to just go through all the Blizzard stuff first and get that out of the way?
Sure, fuck it. Let's do Blizzard right off the bat.
Yeah.
So, Kotaku released an article appearing that there was supposed to be a Diablo 4 announcement at BlizzCon, but it got pulled last minute. So, a lot of people were like, well, what the hell's going on? This and that. The guy who leaked this, apparently, he's kind of an asshole, but he's pretty consistently, accurate when it comes to having these kind of, sources for this stuff. So he's kind of a credible news reporter, I guess, for this, if you will. But
he's a credible source for this type of information.
Yes, that would be a good one. He's credible. So a couple days later, because there's a little update to this one, Blizzard announced, no, we never had an update for BlizzCon. That's not true. So I thought that was fucking hilarious. They're like, oh no, this guy's totally accurate. It's gonna happen, this and that, and they're like, no, we really didn't have any plans for Diablo 4 at BlizzCon. No, not at all. So, just to kind of continue along the Diablo dumpster fire that has been roaring these last couple days, Blizzard just keeps on giving. They recently did an interview where they were kind of talking about some of the stuff they're working on. Specifically, Wyatt Chang was there and another rep from Blizzard, and they talked about how they have all their top devs working on multiple IP mobile projects. So this is not related to only Diablo. It looks like Blizzard is actively working on multiple mobile game projects or mobile projects for all their IPs, which means in the inner working somewhere, there is a Warcraft mobile system being worked on, which they've kind of had before.
It's about goddamn time.
I'm waiting for the Blackthorn mobile.
Yeah. So this was revealed in one of their interviews, but so that means somewhere there's a Warcraft franchise mobile game being worked on. There is a StarCraft one possibly being worked on. And what's the other one? Obviously they already have Hearthstone. Here's the Storm's kind of dead, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But
they have to use their most famous IP of all time, Lost Vikings.
Yes.
I was going to say Ghost.
Ghost is coming to the mobile. Oh my god! I would
finally.
I would love to read the internet's response to that.
Finally, the game we want on the platform we demand it.
Yes. Yeah. I just now I want all of Blizzard's announcements to be nothing but mobile games, nothing but trolling the gamers with mobile games. I want the next BlizzCon to be devoted entirely to mobile.
God.
I want the next BlizzCon sponsored by Samsung.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, it's funny you say that because the last couple of years, T-Mobile has been a big sponsor for BlizzCon. When I've gone there, they had T-Mobile as a sponsor.
Nice.
Okay, I got what I wanted.
All right.
Good enough.
They're preparing for it. See, they're letting you know Next big thing, it's going to be Mobile BlizzCon.
Yeah,
Blizz Mobile Con.
One of the big ones that they were throwing around that might be somewhat well received or decent would be if there was a World of Warcraft pet battles game for mobile, and that it would affect your actual pets in real WoW.
So WoW Pokemon.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, well that sounds like
aside,
something that'll mint money if they do it right.
Yeah.
Like, jokes aside, there are at least a couple parts of WoW I've always been amazed didn't have some mobile companion app to go along with them. I get the idea that you're supposed to log in, but like the whole garrison thing, you could kind of manage it through your phone, but like the whole like war party thing from the most recent one, I didn't quite get why I couldn't do that from my phone.
They didn't. I don't think they added it for this one, but yeah, for Legion you could send guys from your Legion or your class hall to go do missions on your phone. You used to also be able to buy stuff from the auction house on your phone.
That feels like functionality that maybe should be in the game. Like it allows you to do game things without being in the game.
Yeah. No, I that in that sense that worked. Like I get that one. So, but yeah, like in the eve of all this Immortal backlash, they have an interview where they say, "Oh no, a lot of our top devs are working on mobile projects from all of our IPs." Like,
I wanted them just to make the statement, we're doing nothing but mobile games from now on.
Like, talk about being fucking tone deaf.
I think it's awesome. I think it's the greatest thing that they are doubling down on that. Not only were they, like, pretty unapologetic, they're pretty much doubling down on, we're just doing mobile games now. Ha 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 ha. And I think it's the greatest thing ever. I love it. I love it even more.
Yeah, it's funny.
I love the announcement. I love the announcement for Immortal, for Diablo Immortal, and I love this announcement even more. Multiple mobile games. It is so beautiful.
It's funny too because like I guess they were a lot of like one of the guys opened up saying that like a lot of us have kind of shifted from here's a quote actually. Many of us over the last few years have shifted from playing primarily on desktop to playing many hours on mobile. And we have many of our best developers now working on new mobile titles across all of our IPs. Some of them are external partners like Diablo Immortal. Many of them are being developed internally only. Yeah. And that was the Blizzard co-founder, Alan Adham? I think I can't pronounce his last name, but yeah, Alan.
That's even funnier that they... Alright, so not only did they announce Diablo as the new Diablo as a mobile game, they pushed it off on another dev while they work on their other mobile games in-house. Yep. So I love that even more, that they took the cheap way out for all the people waiting for Diablo. Not only are we not giving you Diablo 4, we're giving you a Diablo that we've just kind of pawned off for another place to reskin into like a cheap version of one of their own mobile games. That's the best. That puts the cherry on top of that shit cake.
Mm-hmm. So, and then let me just add a little more on this here.
More cherries.
More cherries. Just shit cherries all around. Activision Blizzard recently had their quarterly, investor call and things like that. And in there, they mentioned Diablo Immortal, and they're like, the response was like, meh. But people who played it had a really positive experience. Blatantly fucking lying in their investor call. So that was fun listening and watching that unfold. Because I guess somebody was live streaming the investor call so people could hear what was going on. Mm-hmm. And they're like, while the initial response has been pretty muted, basically ignoring all the fucking backlash that they've been getting. They're like, we feel like it's going to do really well. And, people who played it had really positive feedback. I'm like, no, that's not true. What are you talking about? What is this? Did you not see the lines or the lack of lines at BlizzCon? No. So, apparently, due to the investor call, they're not really confident right now with how things are going, or they're pretending to be confident with it, when in reality, it's not really that confident at all. It was interesting just to listen to them like blatantly, like, "Oh, it's just a small little thing, no biggie." Like, no, that was huge backlash. There's a reason your stock has dropped dramatically in the last couple days. Not just, I mean, it's kind of a perfect storm of things because I guess Destiny sales aren't where they should be.
Yeah,
Like, it's doing well, but it's not as well as they're projecting. So
well, I think like Activision's. I think that's more of a like Activision really thinks that game should be selling more microtransactions.
yeah, it's something like that. Call of Duty is also doing pretty well, but I think like they're still expecting a little more from it. But
I get the impression the most recent Call of Duty is doing real well. The
Yeah.
issue is it's new, and like Destiny 2 is in a weird fucking spot right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, all right. So the big thing was, it's not even that long after Destiny 1. Not really. And
It's 4 years.
yeah, but the thing with Destiny 1 is, and I think this is what sort of led to some sort of the frustration, was if you wanted to play Destiny 1 complete, it was ridiculously expensive. It was like, what, $200 for all the DLC together or something?
I don't think it was that high because you could buy at Taken King. You could buy Taken King Edition, which was all the stuff prior to that point, and then you just had to buy Rise of Iron. And I think when Rise of Iron came out, there was a Game of the Year edition. I feel like if you wanted to get in at the end of Destiny 1, you could play everything that game had to offer for like maybe as low as 40, definitely $60, but you were getting in at the end. And I guess as someone who followed that thing all the way through, I got the season pass version at first because there was guaranteed 2 DLC for the first year.
Yeah.
And then I got Taken King for, I think that was like $40, and I think Rise of Iron was 20. I don't remember. It wasn't quite 200, but I think it was like 120 or something was probably what I clocked in at. Which, for 3 years of a video game, I don't know. Like
That's good for 3 years of video game. I suppose.
yeah, as someone who used to buy map packs and shit too for games,
Yeah.
like that's within acceptable, but like I guess established norms. Like I think like Mass Effect 2 and 3 had just as much, if not more, technically, DLC content that each cost a lot more money in some ways, and I don't think was as long. That's for apple and oranges at that point. I guess like in the grand spectrum of console DLC, it wasn't that bad. And there's definitely some Game of the Year editions. Like I would argue, kind of Skyrim was a little like it didn't cost more than if you bought Skyrim day one and kind of bought the 2-3 DLCs that came out for that thing.
Well, and my point with that is also that ultimately, so you're a Destiny 1 player and you've dropped $120, $140, $150 on it. How quickly are you going to be to turn around and drop that similar amount on Destiny 2? I mean, that's the thing. It's like your Destiny 2 crowd is definitely going to be your Destiny players. At least that's going to be largely where you're going to be pointing at this, releasing the sequel. But you're asking them to now drop another, possibly $120, $130 or whatever to get the complete edition of that. And that's but that's asking a lot of money out of people. And I'm going to say that
unless more complicated, I think.
Yeah, well,
because there was the promise of 10 years of Destiny at one point, and
that's ridiculous. That's never going to happen. Yeah.
Well, they're working towards it. Like we're at year 5 technically now, or 6, year 5. Yeah, year 5. Like we're halfway there, and I think a lot of people at the time assumed it would be MMO style, where like you would out-level stuff, but you could always go back. And something I've said on numerous occasions on this podcast is, I don't care if they don't do anything with it, but all of the content from Destiny 1 needs to come to Destiny 2, or if there's a Destiny 3, everything from Destiny 1 and 2 needs to be there day one. Like, maybe not the raids, but at least the patrol zones need to be there, because they're part of that game's world and stuff. Like, it would be great if they brought over all the armors and weapons and stuff like that, but that seems unrealistic. The fact that there's literally 100% more game, just places to go and a couple things to do there that we just don't have in Destiny 2 that's always been a big issue with the fan community for that. And it's weird. Like, generally speaking, the fan community is really happy about Forsaken. I think Destiny 2 vanilla was not as addictive as Destiny 1 was, and it didn't quite see the kind of sustained users that Destiny 1 had. I think Forsaken's real good. I played a bunch of games since that came out, though. Like, my quest to get the Gambit Prestige kind of died off a couple weeks ago. Like, I know I need to do that soon, and Hitman comes out next week, and I'm like, yeah, Hitman's getting played. Fuck that shit. Like,
Yeah.
And to be fair, Destiny 2, like the Festival of the Lost did some real cool stuff that I wish Red Dead hadn't come out like 2 days later on to be like, hey, no, you're gonna play this now. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I am. Yeah, and part of it's like I have a podcast and stuff. I have to diversify my games, but at the same time, I don't have the same compulsion to always be playing Destiny 2 I had with Destiny 1. And from a financial standpoint, I can imagine Activision's like, brah, 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 we should be making more money. And, like, yeah, compared to other games out there like Fortnite and PUBG, which are just making fucking money hand over fist via battle passes and sellable items and stuff, like, I get where they're coming from. I don't necessarily disagree with it. Like, I guess to kind of jump to one of our news topics on this one, to kind of cover it in a weird way in this case, they're adding a 4 cash item to Destiny soon. It may already have happened by now, called Temporal Surge, where they're bringing back a bunch of items from past seasons and past years that are like the emotes and stuff, where it's like, hey, you have to buy with the in-game currency, which is silver. There's no way of getting this from in-game unlocks. Like, it's weird. The Everest system is broken because you have people like me that will just grind forever to unlock that stuff. It's fine, but it gets locked away, so I'll occasionally throw some money at it, but I don't have a ton of reasons to put more money into Destiny 2. There's no, like, exclusive stuff, OMG, I must have. Like, there was some cool stuff for Halloween, but also, like, I unlocked most of the cool stuff from Halloween just by playing through it, which was cool, but also doesn't necessarily match some Activision bar where they're like, okay, you gotta be making this type of money from kind of post-release sales of content. Well, you're not, because the fan base wants to play this game like an MMO, so we'll just fucking grind forever and wait, because we know that stuff comes back eventually. We'll see how Temporal Surge does for them. Like, this might fix the issue. I don't give a fuck about the in-game emotes for that thing. Like, there's some ghost shells and some sparrows I'd care more about, and maybe some weapon skins. Like, the fact the weapon ornament system isn't something I can spend money on, I find baffling. I like that I can unlock that stuff, but, like, the fact there's such a list of, like, hey, here are your fucking skins, buy some. It's weird, too, because that game has spots for further ornamentation. They have the ornament system built into the game that I would happily spend money on, hypothetically, if there was anything to spend money on.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I like buying cosmetics. Like, I will buy cosmetics for a game.
yeah.
Like, I do that for the other MMO that I actually play. But I play Terra. But yeah, I really like it. Give me some fancy cosmetics so that we don't all look the same. Please.
Yeah, it's simple stuff. Like, it's the massive inhale and holy shit that happened. I think it was Destiny Year 1, the first DLC, gave us armor. It gave the Titans armor that had, like, a fur hood on it, and everyone was like, I would pay money for that fur hood to be on every piece of armor I had going forward. If you made that a cosmetic item, I at least would definitely buy that. I suspect a bunch of Titan players would insta-buy that shit. Like, if I could apply shoulder spikes to more of my armor, I would do that. Like, there's a couple armor in the game that I think would look real cool with like some face paint on it or something, because the shape is neat, but the armor is boring. I don't get it, because like on one hand DLC, blah blah blah, shitty, etc., etc., don't exploit people, whales, feel bad for them, etc., etc.
Yeah.
On the other hand, fucking put some of that shit in Destiny because I want more options.
Yeah.
I want more customization. Like, do you not get how many people would pay money to redo their fucking character model?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean I think that's something they definitely should actually take advantage of, because I mean, when it comes down to it, we all just want to play with virtual dolls. We love we all love dressing up our virtual avatars in these games, and we like to have them not look like every other avatar, because that tends to happen whenever you have high level, any sort of ranking on equipment, and then you have a bunch of people wearing the best equipment. Everybody literally looks the same. I mean, WoW is a bad one to fall into that. It's just like, wow, everybody looks literally exactly the same because everybody wants the same.
Not so
armor.
much nowadays, because there's what's it called, terraforming or something?
Don't know. I don't really play WoW.
Transmogging. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you see what I mean. But yeah, that's what Destiny is facing, is high level people. You're all using the exact same guns, the same armor. Everybody just looks the same. So yeah,
with color variants.
Yeah.
But yes, no, you're not wrong. Like, it's a real problem, and it sucks. They're like, oh, it's not making enough money, but the game is good. Like, this is the first time I'd call Destiny 2 good in all of Destiny 2's existence. I'd have called Year 1 fine. Forsaken is good. Like, I enjoy playing Forsaken more than I've enjoyed playing Destiny 2 at any point prior to this, but we've gotten way far away from the original spawning topic of, like, any more Blizzard stuff, Alex?
Let's see. Where else we talked about the
Overwatch update.
Oh, the Overwatch update. I was just looking over the rest of the stuff if I missed anything. Oh yeah, so I guess this is more of a next Overwatch thing here in particular. So looks like there's going to be a big update for the next upcoming Overwatch patch, but it's not just kind of a update or a patch. It's something of a remaster, according to a post from Blizzard saying that the next patch will actually require you to uninstall and reinstall the game completely. So I'm curious to see what, like, I've never seen that happen before, where the game requires you to completely uninstall and reinstall. So I wanted your thoughts on that real quick. Like, have you ever seen that? Is this kind of a thing?
I can't think of a time when it happens, but at the same time, what's the reason for this?
It's okay. So there is some core mechanic stuff changing in terms of the way the game is set up, in terms, like, I guess the coding or something like that, to the point where you need to uninstall and reinstall the game in the upcoming patch. So
something about that sounds suspicious. Like, they found something in their base code that, like, is bad, or like this is how they break every single cheat engine ever or something. This feels like a more calculated thing. Like, Star Citizen requires something similar, but it's not a real game yet. It's still kind of pre-alpha, whatever nightmare that world is. But something about this feels weird.
So let me give you the official quote, according from Blizzard. The next major patch will have some pretty fundamental changes to the game client. A number of back-end changes we're putting in is substantial enough that we can't just patch over the current content efficiently. As a result, when the next patch comes out, the client will fully reinstall itself to handle these changes, which means you'll be doing a full re-download of the client, so to speak. So I was curious to see what you guys thought about this, but yeah, it's unusual, but
all right. So how long has the game been out now? Like, about when did it come out?
2 years, maybe? Is it 2 years?
A little older than that.
Overwatch released 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years and a couple months. May 24th, 2016.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it might be just an engine overhaul. It could be their. I mean, all right. So just knowing a bit about versioning and how you do versioning and how the software cycle can go, that just may have come to a point where they're like, all right, so they saved a lot of their major changes for a major update. And so they had a lot of incremental ones, but this had probably been coming for like 6 months. They had probably been collecting, like, all right, so these are the things that are actually going to need a engine overhaul, but these other smaller changes don't require a total engine overhaul. And they're probably rolling a lot of and the other thing they're probably doing is they're rolling any previous fixes and stuff like that just into the code instead of, just sort of updates.
One would assume, yeah.
And so this is just going to be another major versioning. And it is unusual for games to do that, but they kind of have to. I mean, WoW has had to do that a few times because and for WoW, same thing, major engine changes, major updates that just can't be. It can't just be. It's not just a few files. It's an overall engine thing. And yeah, I'm going to say it's probably just the result of they've retooled so much and but just had these things in the pipeline where they knew that it wasn't worth pushing out a new version until they got all of these things done for the engine. And now they finished those things, they can just put out a new version of the engine in general.
Yeah, I guess kind of building on what Henry was saying, I don't in theory have a problem with the idea of reinstalling it. It just seems weird and sucky for those people with data caps.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing. Was like, oh, rip data caps. Like,
yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know how big that game is at this point, file size wise, but I could imagine with just X number of years and characters and stuff, and maybe they're optimizing a bunch of that, and that's kind of point of this, where it's like, yo, we're taking 100 gigs and making it 50 because there's a bunch of junk in there now. That's cool and all, but that could suck for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But it feels weird, but
yeah, I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit there in terms of that's just neutral news, I guess. It's not a shitting on Blizzard moment, but yeah. I will say I've been watching and reading some of the backlash stuff recently with this whole thing, and even like some of the big people who like are big YouTube creators are like, I need a few days before I can post something. Like it's pretty gnarly for a few people, but that's it for Blizzard news. I think, did I cover everything I needed? Yeah.
There's Hearthstone.
Oh, Hearthstone. Yeah, that game.
Not much to say on this except it has reached 100 million registered users, which, based on math, means like I think it's 1 in 76 people, based on the global population, play air quotations Hearthstone.
That is kind of pretty gnarly, though. Like
that is crazy. That is so many accounts.
That is, yeah.
So what percentage of those do you think is just purely bots? How much of that is that a bot nation?
I don't know. I assume like it's I'm curious how many of that is Smurf accounts and how many of those are banned accounts at this point. I don't know. And it's in the ongoing like numbers are pointless and useless. That means nothing. We already knew Hearthstone was doing real good, but at the same time, like based on math, that's pretty fucking impressive. Your account doesn't go away and you die or anything like that or stop playing. It's still out there. Yeah. That's a shit ton of people playing one game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yay, Blizzard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're having a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on from that. You can get NFL football skins in Fortnite now, and by that I mean you can dress your character as a sports person from that sport with the ball and the field and stuff.
Yep.
Gotta pay money for it. No way to unlock it in-game without paying money.
Yep, because NFL gotta make their money.
Yeah.
Am I? This is like the ultimate in my mind, like, okay, Fortnite is dead. Like, yeah, Fortnite is over.
Yeah, I mean it's starting to overreach. I think. I do wonder how long the community is going to last because right now it's still making them money hand over fist. It's. And
I think we'll make them money for a long time. I think it's more. We've reached the point where the next new thing is coming. Where
yeah,
the sky is no longer the limit. The next thing will come, and I've actually gotten the impression like Black Ops 3 or 4, whatever that recent one is called, is doing really well at maybe being at least temporarily the next thing.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Not much more to say on this one. It's
No.
just like a very dad thing to add to a kid's video game.
Oh yeah, that's a very dad thing. I agree.
Yeah. You can now dab dressed as a sports person with your kids. Or don't, because you don't know what a Fortnite is.
What is the Fortnite?
Sports!
Yeah, that seems like an odd combination. It just I know there's a certain amount of crossover between gamers and people who watch sports. I do wonder how well that's actually going to sell.
Also, because I get the impression Fortnite is kind of like, yes, people like Alex play it, weird old people playing Fortnite, but like, that's got a huge demographic in the like sub-18 category.
Yes.
And I don't know how many of them really care about football.
I don't either, to be honest.
What do the children like?
What do the kids like these days?
Youths.
They like things.
Yeah.
The kids with the Fortnite.
Yeah. They're Fortnite.
Moving on. Fortnites. Moving on from that to something equally silly. There was a Ninja, that famous Twitch streamer, Logic, a rapper I've been informed, and a Rick and Morty promotional stream for Fallout 76.
And I heard it was a fucking
didn't go
train
well.
wreck.
It was terrible. It was
Did
awful.
you watch it?
I didn't watch it live. I watched clips from it, and it is wow. It is awkward and terrible. You can't force these things, and this is just an example of that you can't force breaking the internet. It's like Ninja and Drake. That broke the internet. That was ridiculous. But they brought on, Ninja, who's usually entertaining, but was kind of restrained and mute for some reason. You had Logic, who just didn't talk. He was the least entertaining streamer I've ever seen.
Or know how to play the game.
Also didn't know how to play the game at all. And then you had poor Justin Roiland just desperately trying to make the stream not horrible, awkward, and boring. And only succeeded in making it only worse so by really trying hard. And it's like Justin was trying so hard to have a fun and crazy time in it, and Ninja and Logic are taking it so seriously that they kill all the jokes. It's like, alright, at one point he's just like, I'm just gonna take off all my clothes and run around and punch people in the face, and like Ninja and Logic kind of just sort of totally wet blanket that. It's so awkward.
Sandbag maneuver.
Yeah, that's so awkward. And it's just, what? You can't just shove a bunch of people together and expect to get entertainment. It has to happen.
Yep.
It has to happen kind of organically, or at least better planned. So they would bring on people that were going to work well together and be entertaining, and this was none of the above. This was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, bring on a musician that actually knows the game and is known for being good at interviews. I don't know anything about Logic, but something tells me that he's probably pretty boring to listen to in an interview because he was terrible as a streamer.
Don't know. I had to Google who the hell Logic was. I'm like, oh, he's a rapper. Got it.
But it obviously
know him.
not very good at interviewing because that was terrible. I mean, bring on somebody who's kind of known for being entertaining as a rapper. I mean, I'm sure you could. I mean, Post Malone probably would have been more entertaining just because he just says whatever's on his mind.
Sure. And we don't typically have kind of streamer drama or whatever, like bad streams happen, who cares? This is on our list because maybe it's time to officially start worrying about Fallout 76.
Yeah, they're getting desperate. That's a desperate move. They're like, we're gonna force breaking the internet, which never works. You can't do that.
Well, in addition to that, like this is an assembled team, and this is the team you assemble. Like it's got a Fallout 76 had some problems. You've played it, haven't you, Alex?
Played who?
Fallout 76.
I played it briefly. Yeah.
Were you impressed with it? Because the time I spent, I was kind of,
It's all right.
Yeah, that seems to be the resounding reaction to that game, which is, it is a game.
Yeah, that's not the reaction you're wanting to hear if you're Bethesda. I mean, that's even worse than it being hated, is that it's mediocre.
Oh yeah, no, I fucking played The Quiet Man because everyone that talks about that game is like, this is a thing, and it is a thing. This has been kind of a, it's a game. You could play it, I guess. Like, it's more Fallout, but without being full Fallout.
Yeah. So don't watch this. If you go to watch the restream, don't watch the restream. Watch a few clips from it, and you'll get the general feeling of it. Of
or
just how terrible.
Watch the entire restream. It's kind of majestic, and it's like, wow, one of you is a successful paid-to-be Twitch streamer, and this is a stream you're on.
It's startlingly quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like Ninja's usually known as kind of an entertaining streamer. That's why he kind of And that was a terrible stream. I don't know what his problem was. Does he maybe not like Rick and Morty? Does he?
Who knows?
My guess is that this is a super crazy sponsored stream, and he has a history of accidentally saying stuff that he shouldn't say, so he doesn't want to fuck that up. My guess is it's very much one of those things.
He's watching his.
We've talked about that in the past.
He's watching what he says too much.
Yep.
But Justin Roiland wasn't. He didn't get the crap.
He's expected to.
And he was probably drunk, because most of the time I've ever seen him do anything public or private, he's usually been drunk. Which
I also don't think Justin Roiland has a history of starting controversy that led to bizarre internet conversations about, like, well, when is it okay to say the N-word if you're white? It's like, no, never. You're never allowed to say it.
Yeah.
But what if it's in a song? It's not. No, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That may be the thing that made Logic seemed like they all seemed like they were phoning it in hardcore, like really
get that paycheck.
Phoning it in. Yeah,
yep.
Really. Yeah. Especially Logic. He seemed to be like, why am I even here? Like, it's like I didn't even get the feeling that he even likes games. I'm like, was he like pick out a you could search out a rapper that actually seems to like video games. There's plenty of them. I'm sure that I could name some that are probably like video games, or at least like Thundercat. Bring Thundercat on. He's hilarious. He likes video games. Of all the musicians to bring on,
choices were made.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who and there again, it's like, who put the thumbs up on this one? Who said this is a great idea? Let's actually really do this with these three people.
Yeah. Well, so to transition, and speaking of choices, DayZ is finally gonna become a real game.
How many years has it been now?
Oh yeah,
I don't know, like a decade.
Long enough that it's no longer
2012. Relevant. Not a full decade, but it is heading into quote beta. It's no longer in early access, and allegedly we will have a 1.0 version before the end of the year. All 8 of you still playing DayZ, congratulations, you did it.
Yeah, you have a great game ahead of you. You have great things to look out for.
We did it, boys.
If they fix all the problems with DayZ.
Yeah.
Not much more to say on this one. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Up next, I didn't know this was happening until I saw news about it. So, there's something called X018, X018. I don't know what it is. It's an Xbox event. I get the impression it's part of an ongoing. Yeah, it's part of an ongoing inside Xbox show they've been doing. I don't fully get what the hell this thing is. I mentioned missed this, but they have some big announcements out of it. Microsoft has acquired Obsidian Entertainment and Exile Entertainment. There've been rumors about this for a little while. Those are two big RPG studios that are now under the Microsoft banner, which maybe means we'll see something cool from Obsidian in the near future.
I feel like Xbox is trying to become Disney and collecting all these different studios now, and slowly.
Yes.
I wouldn't go that far. I
Build up
think they
its
have
gauntlet?
a problem where they have no exclusives.
Ah,
The biggest thing at their E3 press conference this year was Cyberpunk, and they don't own that. Like,
Yeah.
they've had 2 games that are exclusively from them come out this year, and that was Sea of Thieves and Forza.
Both wildly popular, but
Yeah, but I'm not gonna call Sea of Thieves a good game, but yes, but both are successful games. But I don't know if Sea of Thieves or Forza are moving them consoles, especially when both are available on PC.
yeah.
Huh. Makes sense, but yeah, I look forward to seeing what they're
Yeah.
going to pump out then.
Yeah. It looks like they just bought them. They aren't just cleaning out the studio for the name, that they want them to make some games.
Mhm.
Yes, allegedly they want them to keep doing what they're doing, which is cool. I don't know what I'm talking about in Exile, but Obsidian are the people behind like Fallout New Vegas and
Yeah.
some other widely appreciated RPGs out there. So
I mean,
yeah, let's see what happens.
Obsidian, of course, is known for like, Knights of the Old Republic, or sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
and so
I was gonna say most recently though, it's probably Fallout New Vegas is the last like big
yeah,
Obsidian game that everyone was like, "Oh shit, Obsidian!"
yeah,
Well, I for one look forward to them bringing back. Maybe they're going to take that team and have them bring back Fable. Let's do Fable, boys.
yeah.
Mm.
Let's do Fable Infinite.
Oh, that's dark.
Oh, that's evil. That is evil, sir.
They announced Crackdown 3 is coming out in February 15th, 2019. That's great. You can also get Crackdown Original for free from the Microsoft Store until November 30th, so go check that out.
Yes.
PlayerUnknown's Battleground is coming to the Xbox Game Pass. Remember, that's on the Xbox, not the PS4.
That's right.
That's probably a pretty big deal. And the Game Pass is their subscription, get access to a bunch of game systems. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, they're going to fix the Windows Store.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah. For some reason, Hellblade Susuna's Sacrifice is getting a physical edition. For those unclear what that is, that's the Descend into Madness, Go to Hell Viking game that was a big deal last year or 2 years ago. It's a great game. I'm not sure it needs a physical release, but whatever. They had some Kingdom Hearts 3 news. It's going to be a Winnie the Pooh minigame.
What?
What?
It feels weird that they're the ones making these announcements at this point, but okay. Also, Final Fantasy 13 is getting the backwards compatibility treatment, so you'll be able to play all that on the Xbox One. That's on the Xbox 360. There's a bunch of other Final Fantasy games coming to the Xbox One, including that's 7? I hate Roman numerals. 10, 10-2. Lots of games. Yeah, that's 7 is coming. You can finally fucking play Final Fantasy 7 on an Xbox One in 2019. Weebs who got an Xbox One, fucking rejoice. Burn that shit to the ground. Finally, it will do well in Japan.
We did it, boys.
I'll just pull out my actual copy of Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 1 in my PlayStation 1, and I'll just play that instead.
Yeah, pretty much.
They announced, yes, they announced there's more Sea of Thieves stuff coming. So, for those playing that, congratulations! You're getting an arena mode
Nice.
in early 2019, which actually kind of sounds cool. It's a designated PvP mode for that game where you compete against another team to do objectives and sync them and shit. So, pirate glory! State of Decay 2 is getting some updates. Yay. They showed off some Just Cause 4 stuff. Its trailer, go watch it on the internet. It shows that game being that game. It's got some mayhem. Again, kind of the weird announcements. They announced that Devil May Cry 5 will have something called The Void for practicing. I remember that game having practice spaces in the past, I think, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
pandas and cats are coming to Minecraft. I think the cats look like nightmare monsters and the pandas look adorable, but what do I know? There's a new tomb coming to Shadow of the Tomb Raider because sure, fuck it, why not? Mouse and keyboard support is coming to 14 titles on the Xbox One. These include, stop me when you've heard one of these before, Bomber Crew, Warface, Child of Morta, Minion Masters, DayZ, Warframe, Strange Brigade, Deep Rock Galactic.
I mean, Warframe and Warface, I know both of those.
Warhammer Vermintide, Moonlighter, Wargroove, Wargroove, that's a game I need to go look up now, Vigor, War Thunder, X-Morph, Defense, and Fortnite.
A lot of war games.
Yeah, it's almost like they're making it a PC now or something.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, yep. Everybody wants that PC, actually.
Yeah. They also announced something called Summer of Arcade is coming later this year. Winter of Arcade. It's a reference to Summer of Arcade, but they didn't say what the fuck that is, so I can't tell you more about that. Forza Horizon's net DLC is coming out later this year, which is cool. I assume you have to pay for it, but that game's also on Game Pass, so neat. In addition to Battlegrounds, there will be 15 other games coming to the Game Pass. They include Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Sea of Thieves Season 1. Oh, that's interesting. We're having seasons for that game now. Void Bastards, Hellblade, Sasuna Sacrifice. I think these games are a bunch of these are actually already on there. The Good Life, Kingdom, Two Crowns. I'm not going to read the rest of this list. Who cares? It's not a bunch of... Some of these games are only okay.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy my recap, you can go check the actual trailer, the video for it. I, again, had no clue this event was happening, so I would have watched it, so I can't comment on how well it was done, but in a year without PSX, I guess we're doing this now, so yeah!
Didn't they cancel
Probably the biggest
PSX
news is they officially bought Obsidian.
Didn't PSX get canceled this year, though?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And Steve, we're doing that with a year without PSX.
Huh.
But speaking of PlayStation, apparently the PlayStation Classic is using a licensed version of an open source emulator called PCSX. I suspect you know more about this than me and Alex do, Henry. Can you explain why this is humorous?
Well, it's just like, all right, so the other, like most of the other systems have used sort of like Nintendo, for example, uses their own in-house emulator for their titles. But I guess Sony was feeling lazy, so they're just like, we're just going to use one of the most well-known emulators. PCSX is one of the older ones. It's been around for a while, and and it's just kind of weird that they're just like, instead of even like trying for the whole console on a chip or their own sort of in-house one, which I know that they have, because but yeah, they even have in-house like PlayStation on a chip. I know they own that, but they aren't going with that.
Yeah.
Instead, they're going with an emulator. So basically, it's just a tiny computer with an emulator in there, and that's all it is. So I'm going to say that any of the sort of cracks or anything like that are going to be possible because it's an emulator. Like a lot of there's going to be people loading their own custom ROMs into this very, very quickly.
Well, part of why I found this funny was this was in line with the fact that when they cracked the Nintendo Classic and the SNES, or the Super Nintendo Classic, they found a bunch of the files used in those games were ROMs that were downloaded off ROM sites, and they figured this out because the file names had .sns or .nes in them, which are the file names those sites use.
Yep.
But not all of them had them, meaning they had to outsource essentially their copies of the games.
Oh,
yeah, that's hilarious. Yep, that's the thing, and there's some of the same laziness here, but the article does bring up a interesting thing. The article I'm looking at anyway, in that it is also an acknowledgement of sort of open source. You know, another acknowledgement that open source community puts out viable software that is professional level, or at least that's willing to be used at a professional level. I mean, we've seen that with a lot of operating systems and certain software, but that's pretty crazy that it's just an emulator. I mean, they're all emulators, but I mean, this one specifically is I think this is it's the rearmed fork of it, because that's one version of PCSX that's made to work on ARM architecture. If you're familiar with that processor, the ARM processor, so I'm guessing it's an ARM processor inside of there. I'm looking at the picture. I'm hoping that the cables are longer than they look in the picture. That's not an NES Classic case where they're like a foot long. But in any case,
like the original console.
Yeah. But I have all right. So I had an original PlayStation, and but then I when that burned out, like the laser in it burned out, because that's what happens with a lot of those consoles. I bought a PS with a smaller PS1 compact thing. But yeah, I think it's really kind of crazy that they're using an emulator. It's like, an existing one. But, I guess it's easier than making your own, even though you're a multi-billion-dollar international company with, like, loads of people working for you. You just shop that one out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think personally it's fucking hilarious, but...
Yeah, I choose to laugh. Speaking of no laughing matter, though, Square Enix has announced that the 3 upcoming pieces of DLC for Final Fantasy 15 ain't coming.
Yep, all
They've
gone.
been canceled. And the one remaining will be out next year, so you get 1 out of 4. Congrats. But bigger deal than this, the guy who kind of took over 50 and actually made it happen, I'm going to butcher his name now, unfortunately, Hajime Tabata, I'm hoping I got that right, has left Square Enix, which is a big deal because he kind of dragged that project to fruition, and most people seem to like that game to a certain extent. So, yeah, best of luck on that one. Looking kind of a similar vein because we're talking about Square Enix. 3 mobile games from Square Enix, remember they make mobile games, I always forget that, have been blocked in Belgium because loot boxes.
What a shocker.
We've talked about the kind of increasing number of countries in Europe that have problems with loot boxes, and I think this is the first flat-out ban from a game that they're not going to bother repealing or appealing this judgment because, kid, who cares? They bring in other things to make money on.
Yeah.
Also Belgium.
Yeah, it's Belgium. But yeah, that's pretty. That's a strong statement, and I can't say I don't agree. Like I'm kind of, I guess, ambivalent and to a certain extent about the whole loot boxes thing. I do believe that it is gambling, and I don't think that loot boxes, or at least paid loot boxes, I don't think they should contain things. Well, all right, so I only believe that paid loot boxes should have things for like clothing or whatever, your visible stuff, your trinkets or whatever, things that don't actually get you any further in the game. I mean, a mount or something, or whatever. I don't believe that loot boxes should be for things that will get you further in the game, but that's where they make a lot of their money. But the fact that they're all random, the point of them is, what you get out of them is random. It is gambling, and gambling is addictive, but so is gaming, so is a lot of things. Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on that, but that's a pretty strong statement. I mean, because they have a ban on gambling, that's why they had to, and the ban on gambling extends to loot boxes, and that's why the games had to go.
Yeah, we've covered this topic at nauseum in the past. This is kind of the next step in the ongoing Europe versus kind of loot boxes thing that we'll see how it plays out ultimately. Beyond that, not much new to say on this one. Belgium's still doing God's work, I think, kind of.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, we have something we've talked about in the past ever so briefly, or maybe it was the main topic, I don't know at this point, but some former Riot employees are suing Riot over gender discrimination.
That was coming.
A ton of...
Yeah, that was a long time coming, considering there was that op-ed done a while ago by a former employee who spoke out against that stuff and all that. It's no surprise at all that this is fucking coming.
Yeah.
And the claims range from compensation on unpaid wages, damage, and other penalties, with It's not clear exactly how much money is being asked for just yet, but we're moving forward with this one. Apparently, it all revolves around how Riot may have violated California's Equal Pay Act.
Yep. Yeah, this was coming. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier, but I think now, because of the climate that is, because it got broken, the story got broken, now people are aware of it. Now maybe the former employees actually feel confident to bring this up in court, that it'd be taken seriously. And maybe not all of them were aware of that it was such a widespread thing. Maybe they thought it was just them, but now it's like class action suits. So that means they're aware of each other. They're aware of each other, and they all had similar issues. So I think that's another reason why it's happening now. Maybe they all thought they were sort of, like it only happened to them, or it wasn't widespread, and now those same former employees are realizing, I'm seeing everybody else's stories and they're the same as mine, so it was widespread.
Yeah, and we have talked about kind of, and I think me and Alex were kind of joking about this several podcasts back, like it's like Rockstar Games, Riot has a reputation, and it's bad.
Yeah.
It's been kind of a generally accepted, hey, this is a thing, and when the news was coming out about it, it's like, oh, this is shocking, and no one was going, as people who follow games were like, nah, this is about what we've known for a while.
Yeah, we aren't surprised.
There's just been nothing we could do about it till this point.
Yeah.
Yep. No surprises there that a company that has a game that's toxic as fuck happens to have an environment in the office that's toxic as fuck.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Kind of in the same vein of that, our last news talk before we grill Henry for some quick rapid-fire questions. Get to know him better this week. A YouTube streamer was banned and then unbanned for killing the SuffrageGate NPC in Red Dead Redemption 2. For those unfamiliar with her, haven't gotten to her yet, she is a character in Red Dead Redemption 2 who's just kind of out there saying women should be allowed to vote and stuff. She's a pleasant enough lady. I ran her over with my horse by accident because horses handle like shit in that game, and I felt bad about that. But yeah, it's as much as this is kind of a commentary on, oh, why did you make a bunch of fucking YouTube videos shooting the women's voting issue? It's also kind of a commentary on, well, what the fuck's up with YouTube's tagging system again?
Yeah, I'm not even sure how this got tagged, or well, all right. So the titles for the videos are clickbaity. They are watch me kill a feminist, basically.
Yep.
Like I kill a feminist like this. Feminist dies like this. That's the name of the videos. They're very clickbaity. And you look at the comment section, it is the MRA Gamergate like garbage fire that you'd expect.
They're back!
Yeah. They never left. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, the video, and alright, I'm going to say this. Give the streamer the benefit of the doubt, this YouTube streamer, that they didn't post those with the intention of it necessarily of being toxic, but...
No, you don't make the...
Maybe, but it's hard to say because they
make those videos and you make that thumbnail. They would not be toxic, but you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're up to.
Given the titles of the videos, I have to say the same. And
yeah, you are farming controversy. You're not like, oh no, I made this funny YouTube thing. Like you could use any NPC, you could use any thumbnail.
And any title.
But no,
any title. Yeah. He specifically used the term feminist because that's...
Yeah, it's...
And...
No,
yeah.
This is absolutely intentional. This is content made
for
a group of people that will like inflame something to a degree where you go viral. Like
And honestly, I kind of agree with YouTube in their initial assessment that it is hate speech. It is inciting violence. It's very much, I kind of think it is inciting violence against feminists because look at the titles of the videos. And what he does, I mean, it's like, it's not outright threats, and that's where it, falls on that weird line, but it's some very, very purposeful imagery, and in the timing of it and the use of it is like right now in the political climate. Yeah, I think it's very purposeful what this person did, and the fact that they're acting kind of surprised by it all and sort of shocked. Oh my!
Oh, well,
that is definitely, yeah. That streamer is not being honest. He's being dishonest when he says, "Oh, I just made these." No, you titled them like "feminist gets killed" or "feminist gets murdered."
Gator.
And this is where it gets weird for me, because on one hand, the dude knew what the fuck he was doing. On the other hand, if you've ever actually had to read the YouTube guidelines for this stuff, they are so impossibly vague that it's kind of ambiguous about what is and isn't allowed. Like, and that's not me making an excuse, but it's one of those ones where it's like, claim censorship on this all the fucking what you want. Like, is it? I don't know. I don't care at this point. You're being shitty and whatever. Like, it is, but also I don't give a fuck about your right at that point, because you're attracting a certain group and you're appealing to a certain group, and you're doing it to be shitty to us. You are actively trolling, and I have run out of patience for active trolling at this point. And
same here, definitely.
Yeah.
And so I think Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm gonna jump in with an interesting little tidbit here, but let's go on.
But yeah, it just reminds me. It's just a bad reminder of just how terrible some elements of gaming still are, and unfortunately, they're the loud ones. And I actually think that the majority of gamers, the vast majority of gamers, are just sort of quietly gaming and doing what they enjoy, and just kind of normal people, because that's just the majority of people. But it's these few loud, angry, frustrated, moronic trolls that kind of ruin it for everybody. And it's a controversy, and all these sort of general garbage people are gonna run around and say, oh, defend his free speech. But I mean,
you're using a private platform technically.
Yeah, I mean, it's YouTube can do whatever they want with it, and he should just be happy that YouTube was like, okay, we'll give you your channel back, give you your videos back.
Yeah, and this is all stuff we've talked about in the past. Like, it sucks that you're using an extremely popular video game right now to be a shitty person, but also, like, people are shitty with every video game ever, so I don't... Yeah, like, for the group going, oh, it wasn't intentional, shut the fuck up and grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
YouTube's fooled
vague. Yeah, you're right.
We aren't fooled by that anymore. We really aren't. We just aren't fooled by people playing innocent like that. I mean, it's the same with the PewDiePie and the stuff he's pulled. It's like, you're a grown adult. You know what you're doing. Don't try to gaslight us.
Yeah.
Don't gaslight us here. We know what actually is going on. Don't pretend like, oh, well, I'm just doing this totally innocent thing and I'm totally oblivious to it. You're not.
Well, and the insulting part of that is, like, the women's suffrage stuff is an interesting subplot to that game. There are numerous missions, or at least a couple, that are based around kind of the ideas of that. Like, you drive a trailer at one point, horse carriage, that's what I was looking for, full of people that are, like, campaigning for the right for women to vote and stuff. Like, it's a cool moment in the game that does not need to be there between me killing Ku Klux Klan members and Confederate soldiers that refuse to admit they lost. But, for a game that's all openly about, like, negativity and the downward of a certain way of life, which was kind of this outlaw lifestyle, it's kind of cool they have positive messages where it's like, this was also the time when women gained the right to vote and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's neat you have that. Doesn't need to be there, but cool. The subplot is great, so...
Yeah, that and the specific character he's killing seems to be a representation of a famous, like, one of the famous leaders of that movement. It looks like Elizabeth Cady Stanton. That's the first...
I can't remember if they call her that by name or not. I feel bad. My interaction with her was brief and bad because I didn't revert my save. But yeah, it's a very intentional reference. It's a thing in the game. And, like, to make it weirder, this is not the only instance of that in that game. This is just this one person focusing on this instance. Like, and to get to this, I believe you have to have gone through several missions where you are in support of the women's right to vote, which makes this, like, extra shitty.
Yeah.
But
So I'm gonna put this out there really quick here. I absolutely agree with you guys that the whole premise, like the whole thing with like naming the video specifically "Beats Up an Angry Feminist" is totally fucking clickbaity. Like, I'm sorry, there's no way in fuck you're gonna come up with a headline like that for a title for a video and say, "Oh no, it just happens to be that." No, sorry. That's absolute bullshit. We'll say though, the entire game you're basically killing people everywhere.
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, it's
Just to
my
throw
answer
that
to
out
that
there.
My answer to that is what I make Arthur Morgan do in the privacy of my own home is no one's business except mine until I get on the podcast and talk about it. If I made a bunch of videos being like, yo, I'm being shitty as Arthur Morgan, and it was directly targeted at certain groups, like, when you're putting it out there for the rest of the world to observe, like, it's kind of cop-out as that maybe sounds, that's when I have a problem with it.
No,
because
I
it's
agree.
like, be a shitty person in private all you want.
Yeah, I agree, but I think like
Don't
people,
try and make fucking money off it.
I think-
Don't make it on YouTube, like, and then don't act surprised when people are like, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that like I guess there are people who are commenting in on this that I saw that like don't know that like you spend the majority of the game murdering people. You beat the shit out of a man in the opening mission, potentially. Like, you choke him out or let him live.
Yep. We have talked about the inherent violence in Red Dead Redemption numerous times on this podcast. Like, Arthur Morgan is not a good person.
Yeah. But
that being said, there's no in-game reason to do any of this stuff except mayhem, which is fine, but the line is crossed when you, like, target your videos and you're like, yo, look at this thing I did 8 times.
Yeah, and it was weird because, like, I guess there was a series of them where, like, he tied him on the train tracks, he fed him to a gator. Like, it was... God, that was weird.
Yeah, that's a person I'd actually be a little bit afraid of, to be honest. If that's the thing, of all the things to pick out in the game, to think of multiple ways of killing a very specific character, and a specific character that he obviously is identifying with feminism in general, that's disturbing to me. It wouldn't surprise me if the dude is an incel MRA MGTOW type.
I will say, though, in video games, anybody who comes up with weird ways to kill something over and over, like even in The Sims, if you're one of those people that finds clever ways to murder your Sims, I worry about you as a person.
Yeah.
Just because that's creepy.
Yeah. And this is, like I said, it's because this is going after the same thing, and it's obviously representing something. He's, murdering a feminist, and it's disturbing. It is, and honestly, it's disturbing because, and I say this as a person that does dumb, violent stuff in open sandbox video games. Oh yeah, I've definitely, like, played Fallout 3 and, like, saved and, like, blown up a town. But it was never with the thought that this town represents people I hate, or a class of people I hate, and I'm going to kill them repeatedly. That's a little different. I don't know.
Just internet being shitty is what it kind of just summarizes to here.
Yeah, I guess to cop to it, too, like, there was a debt collection mission where the guy that I was collecting debt from was enough of a pain in the ass. I left him on the train tracks to die. Like, that's a thing I did in the game. I will fully admit to that. Didn't make a YouTube video about it. Didn't target one character. It was in canon, Arthur Morgan is pissed.
Yeah. And like I said, it's more that, it was the targeting of a specific...
Yeah.
Of a specific character for a specific, decidedly kind of nasty reason. Like,
yeah.
I didn't have a decidedly nasty reason for deciding that I was just going to allow the atomic bomb, or set the atomic bomb to go off in that town in Fallout 3. It was just I wonder what would happen, I wonder how the game deals with this, or I wonder what it wasn't I hate these people, they represent a group of people that I hate, and I'm going to kill them. That seems like it's a step beyond. It really does to me.
Yeah. Nah, we've given this more than enough time, I think. Like, it's a rehash of topics we've definitely covered in the past that we'll continue to cover moving forward when they pop up. But yeah. Well, so Henry, as our main topic this week, we're going to grill you with some questions or whatever, just to get you a sense of this. We do this every time someone joins the cast of this nightmare, if you will. I always like the idea that people that listen to us have an idea of who someone is, and therefore can take their opinions and kind of perspectives on a game into account when they hear us say something about something. And I think it's important to how this podcast works. So, Henry, tell us about yourself as a gamer and kind of a general person. We'll jump in with questions, I guess.
All right, so as a gamer, I've been playing games my entire life. I mean, the first game system I ever played was those of my siblings. I played an Intellivision. I played the Atari 2600, and just kind of played consoles from then on until the Dreamcast. And then around that time, I decided to start investing in PCs. I kind of mentioned that last time, but... So, I've been a console gamer for a long time, and so I have a lot of console games from older systems, but now it's like all my games are PC, so it's like I just have a very large Steam library, large good old games library, and just I have some games outside of those, not necessarily through those either, that I just bought and have installed on my computer. And so I've been a long-time gamer. And I guess the other side of my perspective is I'm also a long-time programmer, and specifically I am a game programmer, though I've done other types of programming. And I've also, I guess the other thing is I've also traveled a good bit around the world, lived in a few different places. So I also have some perspectives of playing video games while living in other countries. And I guess that's, but traveling is the other one of my passions, I guess, outside of video games. Yeah, and that's kind of, in a nutshell, me. I mean, I have a master's degree. My master's degree is in artificial intelligence. That's what allows me to do what I do now, which is teach. I do teach video.
We got an inside man. That's kind of cool.
You made that joke last year.
Last year, did I? Huh. Well, I'll make it again.
Week.
Today and next week and next week until it dies, because that's what I do with these jokes.
That's true. Also, favorite type of game, and I guess favorite game at this point in time.
Favorite type of game? I guess it depends on my mood. Alright, so the type of RPG I like strategy RPGs. I like Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my favorite games of all time. I also love the Disgaea series. And I guess for those, it's just the ability to micromanage in general for RPGs, I guess, very heavily. As far as RPGs I've been playing recently, I've been playing Super Dimension Neptune versus Sega Hard Girls. I've been playing Darkest Dungeon more recently. I just mentioned that earlier. I had only recently picked up Shadowrun Returns, and I was really happy with that too. But I guess outside of that, I play some of the general suspects. I mean, I do like action games as well. I like platformers, and so I play Awesome Knots. I play 20XX or 2000X, all right. So I guess one of my favorite RPGs of all time, probably I think it might have to go with actually Final Fantasy Tactics. I really like that game a lot. I think it has a very sophisticated plot. In addition to a really, really intricate and in-depth game system, the plot of it is it's complex, and it's mature. There's betrayals, love, it's a really fascinating plot. It's very good, and I highly recommend that if you have a chance to pick it up. Either version of it, either the PSP or the PS1 version. Very, very, just awesome game. I also play action games too. I mean, I play Overwatch. I play, I've played Left 4 Dead 2, and when it comes to classic games, I mean, it's a lot of platformers. I mean, I really like Shaken the Forever Man for Genesis, even though it's a super hard game. I mean, for the NES, I was always a big fan of Ninja Gaiden series. I mean, as well as like Dragon Warrior and Final Fantasy 1. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I've played a lot of games, but I probably have been a little more RPG heavy than anything else. Even though
Sure.
I look at my collection, it's not mostly RPGs, but it's definitely a lot of RPGs. And I guess it comes from a background of having also played a lot of tabletop gaming too.
I guess kind of my final one, unless you've got a couple you want to burn through quickly, Alex, is so now that you're part of this Nightmare podcast, what is something you feel is important that our listeners know about you as a gamer, a co-host, a human being, a sentient thing with hair? I don't know.
Hello, sentient thing with hair. New band name called it.
Yeah, I guess on the side, I'm also I'm also a pro wrestler. Kraken Zero is also my pro wrestling name. And so that's something I also do. I train. My school that I trained with is Nox Pro. That's the one that is owned and led by Rikishi.
What?
If you're familiar with the WWE, that's my trainer. Rikishi's my trainer. I've also been trained by Gangrel. But yeah, I am a pro wrestler, and so you'll occasionally see things from me about that on my Instagram. I love music. I have a passion.
Cool. You got any more you want to ask him, Alex?
Wow, the professor wrestling with the Rikishi thing is just so interesting.
I have to have mentioned that before.
I didn't know. I didn't know. That was really cool. You gotta give me a sec to collect myself. You trained with some, like, you said names that my childhood remembers, like fucking Rikishi and Gangrel. Like, these are childhood names I remember growing up. Like,
what are you, a Telltale game? My childhood will remember that?
yes, exactly. So I guess, I mean, you mentioned RPGs, that you kind of lean towards more those. I know you mentioned Terra as one of the MMORPGs you've played before. Are there any other MMORPGs that you kind of stepped into and enjoyed?
All right. So I did play World of Warcraft very briefly. That was around the Burning Crusade time. I just wasn't playing it often enough for it to warrant me keeping it. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't tend to play a lot of MMORPGs. I think it's just because the time sink is so heavy for those. So it's like, I'll play that. I'll play Dungeon Fighter Online sometimes. That's even rarer than I play Terra. And but yeah, I see. And in my history, as far as like games I've worked on an MMORPG before. I worked on Rift and Defiance. If you're familiar with those two games.
We have thoughts about Defiance on this podcast.
Actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if in case anybody listening is wondering, Defiance is the sci-fi show / game thing, and yeah, I worked on that. I worked on that.
I played the reboot of that game semi recently.
Yeah, it's a game.
It is definitely a game.
It's a game.
I love that's your reaction too. That's where I got to.
I mean, it's kind of mediocre, but the thing that they promised for the series that I didn't see them doing is they were going to try to roll in events that happen, player-driven events that happen in the game, and roll them into the series. They didn't really do that because I wanted them so badly to see two characters talking about, and Turbo Dog 6549 is the greatest hero. Is the greatest hero of the land.
I think the reboot has that a little, or not going that way, but I think it's got more of the TV stuff in there. But,
or a user by the name of Buttkisser 6969, and they mentioned that guy because that player is really good, and they have to mention them by name. That's all I really wanted out of the series. I wanted them to actually have to say a bunch of usernames.
Yeah.
Like terrible usernames. Yeah, that's Defiance is the thing. But yeah, I don't actually play that many MMORPGs. I played Ultima Online when that first existed. I did play some of that. I've played a lot of them, and not a lot of them have hooked me. I think the main reason Terra has, and the reason that Dungeon Fighter Online does for the same reason, is they are action based. They aren't your sort of, click and move, click and play type ones, like, World of Warcraft, or pretty much all of them, or at least most of them. And I just kind of like that. I didn't like the whole clicking on things and kind of, I like the action of Terra, and that's what drew me to it. And that's what kept me in it, despite the fact that I haven't stayed with any other MMORPG ever.
Have you heard about based MMORPG The Matrix Online?
No, you're not doing this to me 2 weeks in a row. Fuck you. We're moving on to mail now. Congrats, you did this to yourself, Alex. Sorry, Henry, I have to cut him off. We brought up Matrix Online. We have to move on.
No.
It will taint the rest of the podcast. Emails. Henry, if you want to contact us for an email, how do you do it?
That is Wicked Awesome Podcast, is that right?
Cast. Just Wicked Awesome Cast.
WickedAwesomeCast@gmail.com.
What's that email again, Alex?
WickedAwesomeCast@gmail.com.
You gotta stop bringing up Matrix Online and ruining this podcast?
No!
You gonna do that?
No! Always.
Yeah. WickedAwesomeCast@gmail.com. Spell as it sounds down in the show notes, etc., etc. We got 3 emails this week. Not that you deserve any of them, Alex. Dear recovered and current WoW players. The demo of the classic WoW has come and gone by the time you answered this, and potentially millions of people have gotten their taste of the original World of Warcraft. The talent tree is expansive, the mounts in gold are precious, affliction locks are broken and emo edgelords, and the debate about whether pallies or shamans are more broken rages once again. Obviously, this return to basics with WoW offers up a whole new way for players to play, and the idea of progression. I'm not sure I totally agree with new way, but okay. And what comes next for classic raises a whole slew of new questions. So if you were making the decision for how WoW Classic works, what would you do? Will the expansions eventually get added? Will it become some kind of parallel timeline? A third option I haven't thought of? Jason from Nevada.
Well, Blizzard has actually had official response for something like that.
I say you add up the Frozen Throne and DLC to that game over time, and then you stop.
No,
because that's when that.
You know what I think? I think they should just continue demaking, and so just keep rolling it back. So take the level cap goes down instead of up. So you start moving the level cap down.
Oh, I like this idea. The longer
and you start removing,
over time, your character level decreases. You have to keep playing.
Yeah, you start removing stuff from the land. You start removing content. Like, oh, that quest is gone. Oh, that tree is gone. Oh, we're just going to delete that mountain. So eventually, it's just going to be and they're just going to start slowly demaking all the visuals, so it starts to look like a PS1 game.
Mm-hmm.
What it does, but
so and just keep rolling it back until it eventually just looks like Ultima Online, except
this is just delightfully evil. You do.
Yeah, you just keep demaking it, but very slowly. Do it so gradually that nobody really notices outright. But it's like in 5 years' time.
I vote you go the opposite direction. Have like the thing devouring the landscape be like an in-game thing, and NPCs are talking about it, where it's like the void is coming. It took out the Barrens a week ago. Now there's nothing there except ground texture.
I would be down for something like that, actually.
But bad PS1 ground texture.
It's already WoW. It already looks like that.
No, I'm saying like bad PS1 games.
Go check out some of the screenshots from the WoW Classic demo.
Okay.
It's that game is that graphic update they did at one point was very deserving.
Yeah, no, you can even turn it up and make it super like classic pixel texture mode.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's an option in the interface.
Fucking sprites.
Oh, well, no, make it have to run at like a 640 by 480. Yeah, force it to run in that. Yeah, and run it. Yeah, that now that's something that should definitely be done. WoW Classic only can be played windowed in a 640 by 480 window.
And you have to use a dial-up modem.
Yep, it requires a dial-up modem to dial into it. It's a dial-in system for the server. So you just keep pulling it back, and you know what? Maybe create a new retro, an entirely new like back to retro. It's like now you'll start a new wave of demakes of every game, like Assassin's Creed, except on Genesis.
Yeah.
Or Philips CDI version of Hitman.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Jason. That's what we think the plans for World of Warcraft Classic should be. A slow devolution over time till it becomes other video games.
Yeah.
Eventually it just becomes fucking Pong. Like your computer morphs into that, like, that electronic screen machine they used to make Pong on.
Oh, yeah. It's eventually just vector graphics. It's just vector graphics. It looks like it looks like just looks like Ultima 1 or Ultima Zero Akalabeth, I think was the name. Yeah. It just looks
I like every part of this plan. It is terrible.
because I hate everybody and I hate gamers.
Oh yeah. Speaking of hating everyone, our next email comes in from Olivia in Oslo, Norway. Oh, did I mention Sweden is now our #1 subscriber base?
Yeah,
Awesome.
Sweden.
Get your shit together, Norway!
That's awesome.
Dear Wicked Awesome Cast, it was fascinating last week to hear Alex go full ruiner on something that he had recently passionately defended a few episodes ago. It was a little strange at first, but the cast's willingness to admit when they change their minds on something is something I really enjoy about your specific gaming podcast. Of the several reoccurring themes of the podcast, one of my favorites is the idea of uncomfortable gaming truths. I'm sure there are many undiscovered truths, but are there any you three strongly believe in that you have yet to find the way onto the podcast? I'll go first with my people don't actually want crossplay, they just want cross accounts.
I can dig that.
I agree. I think they don't want to buy the game 3 times.
Oh, I'd rather buy 3 games than play against PC people on a console game. Like, I really only care about my character progression getting shared on all platforms. Beyond that, I could not care less. I think most people are the same way.
Well, like Charlie and I have even talked about this before. Like, I would be okay with owning multiple copies of Destiny 2 if it meant my Warlock from my PC. If I wanted to play with Charlie, I would just jump over to the PS4 version and my characters would be there waiting.
Yeah,
I'd be totally okay with that.
That would be super cool.
And I think this idea applies to a lot more video games than just Destiny. It's like the fact, like, Final Fantasy 15 14 lets you do that, and it is something that I'm like, it's not a two-way street. You can't go back and forth, but at the same time, it's like, this is something you should do. Because I'd probably still be playing that game after my shoulder recovered enough to play real video games again, or play traditional video games. That's definitely a video game. Like, yeah. Like, Warframe is one that I find shitty on that topic, where it's like, I want to play the Switch version. I don't want to start over again.
Yeah.
But I would happily buy the Switch version if you could buy it. All right, what do you two got?
All right. Video games are a medium that is just not going to be accepted in the wider stance as art for an extremely, extremely long time.
Oh, I don't think ever, actually.
But, they said that about TV and movies, too.
Yeah.
They said that about, like, the printed word. But, I mean...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but they definitely said that about radio and music and
I am...
But I think the biggest problem is just, the games are never going to well, I'm not going to say never, but it's going to take a very long time for games to get over the hump of just being considered a toy. Because that's really the way a lot of, especially older people, consider games, that they're toys. And I suppose they are in a sense, but I think it's just still a lot of sense of immaturity being associated with games. And it's not unfounded and totally unfair. But the problem is games have come into force as a medium as the internet has at the same time and a lot of other technologies are. And we're really in an important part. If you're thinking of timeline as far as games becoming an important medium for art, we're in an important part right here where we're seeing a lot of experimentation with a lot more game devs because tools are more readily available and even free, like in the case of Unreal Engine and Unity. And we're seeing this real explosion here, and so we have to watch out and be careful for is anything that we seeing over the horizon that might get in the way of creativity, such as like an enforced sense of like morality, like what happened with comic books and the Comics Code Authority and the book Seduction of the Innocent, if you're familiar with what happened in the 50s with that. I don't know if you are necessarily, but I'm afraid that that's on the way for games too. That we've already had a lot of moral panics and moral scares when it comes to video games, but I don't think we've hit the biggest one yet. I don't think we've hit the most serious one yet. I think we're going to see the next moral panic, moral scare is going to be like the biggest one yet, and it's really going to be a factor of, are we going to start really seriously like censoring video games, or are we going to allow the medium to flourish? And it's not going to be the same across every country either, because we've already seen some countries, including our own, are just more likely to censor some things than other things, and so that's a danger. It's a danger when you start censoring what is actually art. So that's my hard truth.
You got one, Alex?
I'm probably gonna piss off a lot of people with this one, but Final Fantasy VII is not that great now.
Yeah, double down.
It was great for its time. I can appreciate it. Probably not that great now. All you people fighting for remasters of that fucking game for how many years now? Let it go.
You're gonna be disappointed.
I'll go so far as to say there are better Final Fantasy games out there.
Oh,
even. Tactics
is my favorite. Tactics is incredible, and that's a game I think would actually do well for new consoles because it's. I mean, like the graphics, it's heavily sprite based. I mean, the environment is 3D, but the characters are sprite based, and they look really nice. That's why even when it was remade, it's like the remake was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Final Fantasy VII, it'll always hold a special place for me because it's literally the reason why I bought a PlayStation 1 in the first place. I bought it for that game, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, going back to it, I think it holds up among RPGs in general, but I wouldn't go back and play it again.
Yeah.
Whereas I would go back and play Final Fantasy Tactics again.
I don't even like 10. I think 10 was a better Final Fantasy.
Yeah, alright, so, well, on an aside, my only problem with 10 was, Titus. Yeah.
Yep.
But,
he's bad.
But
you know who's worse? Fucking Cloud.
Yeah. Cloud, however, Cloud doesn't even talk that much.
And that's what makes him worse.
Cloud doesn't talk much at all.
Yeah, well, that makes him better. It was Titus, when Titus actually opens his mouth, that's when I hated him.
Oh, no, I'm saying more.
Or anytime he said, "This is my story," it made me want to punch him in the mouth.
It's a story.
It's not your story. It's not your story, Titus. Shut up. Stop fucking saying it. You keep saying it, you're not going to make it true. If I keep saying it, just shut up. But in any case, yeah, Final Fantasy VII, yeah, it is a classic, but you're not going to want to go back and play it. It's not going to have aged well. It just won't.
Yeah.
Even like Final Fantasy Tactics, I would find it hard to go back and play that when I have like Disgaea 5 to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the whole thing is just games that came out for their time do not age well. Like GoldenEye 007 did not age well.
Oh, yeah. Super fun at the time. Oh, it's rough to go back and play.
It's rough to go back and play some of these titles.
It was rough to play at the time.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was fucking great for its time.
It was great. It was rough to play still.
I used to be fucking good at it.
Whereas I can go back and play Metroid in the original NES Metroid, and that is a super fun game that has aged well. Like, I went back.
Oh yeah, no,
I went back and played that on stream like a month or so ago, and just played through the entire game, and it's fun. Holy crap! It's just a fun game.
I would go so far as to say on the entire N64, there were only 10 good games.
I'd say that's true for most consoles. Period.
No, I think a lot of consoles prior and post then do a lot better than that. I would say that there are only 10 games that you should hold reverence for on the Nintendo 64, and 2 of them are Zelda games.
Yeah. You have your Super Mario 64. You have your Banjo Kazooie.
That game is impressive. I don't think it's a good game.
Banjo Kazooie.
Also a fun game. Don't think it's a good game at the end of the day.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
That one I'll give you.
Superman 64.
Definitely that one. That one is the best game to ever come out from Nintendo 64.
Yep.
A pinnacle of modern game making we have yet to surpass.
Yep. Yeah.
Only Bubsy can even rival such a pinnacle.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I Troublemakers is also a really good N64 game. I'm just trying to think of like what games that I would see as like really good. I'm trying to think of the series now. Something Effect.
Mass Effect.
No, Fear Effect. No, that's a PS1 game. Sin and Punishment, also a good. But yeah, I think the N64 had a slightly smaller library than the PS1 as well.
Maybe. Well, yeah, the PS1 library and the PS2 library are like, look at all these fucking games we got. Look at them.
But so many of them are garbage. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. The PS1, I think, was the worst when it came to absolute garbage games.
I think you are discounting how many truly terrible games there are for the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo.
No, there's a whole new level of awful for the NES. The NES.
Those games didn't cost $100 a piece.
Yeah. Well, they cost $50 to $60.
No, not at that point in time. The games were cheaper then.
What? NES games?
No, NES games were in the $50 to $100 range. I'm talking like PS2, PS1. You could still get stuff for like $20, $40 at that point in time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But PS1, yeah, there are PS1 games that were just shovelware. Yeah, you could buy them for nothing, and they were worth that.
Yeah.
They're worth, yeah, yeah. But yeah, the N64 had some good hits, but not all of them age well. But not a lot of games age well. That's just difficult. Yeah. It has to be a mechanic that's just so good that it just works out really well. I mean, I have Sakura Wars. I have that for the Sega Saturn, and that's a tactics RPG game. That's down, that's my alley. But I can't see myself going back and playing it too often, just because it's aged kind of meh, I guess, to be honest. But yeah, this is one thing I have been doing. I've been playing an older game called Soul Hackers. It's in the SMT, the Shin Megami Tensei series. That's an old Saturn game, and that's been fun. Yeah. Final Fantasy VII. Let it rest. Let it die.
We did not go rapid fire with that, so I'm going to go to our next and final email from Mateo. Hope I pronounced that right. In Valencia, Spain.
Oh.
Dear Wicked Awesome Cast, I believe your country recently had an election of some kind. I know nothing of American politics except that they seem terrible.
Yeah.
But your country's politics are internet poison that somehow spread outside your internet into my country's internet, which is how this question came about. While I do not think any of you could be trusted to be president, especially Charlie, I suspect you could be trusted to be a mayor of something of that stature. So I ask you, what would your campaign be? Mine's simple. I would drive all the crackheads downhill into Sunland. I would chase them all with a bat like that. My campaign platform would be like, I'll get the crackheads and the tweakers and shit like that out of where I live. We're driving them down the hill, boys. If there's one in your yard, I will come pick it up, put it in a truck, and drive it down the hill.
I have been told, and I've come to realize very easily, that I would make literally the worst politician ever. I don't have much of a filter. I don't
think he's asking for serious campaign promises.
Yeah.
What would you promise?
What would I promise? I would promise. I'm not even sure what I promise.
This is awesome. I promise nothing.
Okay. So you know what? Yeah. Lower your my campaign promise is lower your expectations. That's my campaign motto. And if you look under, like, how does he stand on the issues? And it's just like, It just
behind a podium.
It says he stands, or he has an opinion. That's all it says. He has opinions.
Yeah,
that's all. What it says. What are his campaign pledges? Nothing. I'll never let you down. That's another campaign motto. I will never let you down because because there are no expectations.
The mental image of you in a debate going like, my opponent has made a lot of promises, and I've said, yeah, I'll try and figure that at a later date. Who do you actually believe? Someone who's said a lot of things, or someone who's just as terrified of this job as you are?
Yeah, that's my campaign promise is, I'm probably not going to do this better than you.
You're going to have problems. I'm going to have problems. There's no doubt in my mind I will abuse this power in some way. I don't know which way yet, but I will find a way.
My opponent here has stances on issues. I'm sure I do too, but I don't know.
I don't know what those stances are. Things I care strongly about. We need better air quality in LA, and slavery was bad, and I don't know.
Yeah, I'll take a stand and say that I like oxygen.
Pinkberry is an acceptable dessert.
All right, so that's my campaign promise is no promises.
What's yours, Alex?
Well, as the one person here who actually has political experience,
oh?
Yeah. I'll have you know,
I didn't know this.
I was class president of my elementary school.
Oh, fuck you.
And I won, by the way. So I do know how to run a successful campaign. Right now, I'm 1 for 1. Honestly, I think I'd just be real. I'd be like, look, I'm just a person at the end of the day. Like, I wouldn't give you any weird BS. There's a guy, actually, I'm not going to get too political into this, but there was a guy I was following recently who I really, really liked because he was just so bluntly honest and real about, like,
sure,
who he was as a person. Like, I'll just really quickly speak on it, but, like, in his one of his campaign videos, he talked about how, like, look, when you call my office, you call this number, that's my cell. And then he gave his cell phone number in his campaign video.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I can respect that. So I guess that would be something similar to my end, I guess, but I don't know. I did run on a platform of better school lunches, so if I want to give a serious answer, my answer will be better school lunches.
You know what? That would actually be a real...
I won, okay? I was in charge of the hall monitors. I had my own secret service. I was a corrupt little president.
Yeah,
Oh, so you're the opposite, Henry. You're like, we're going to change things. School lunches, we'll fix it. Vending machine, all the good soda again. Drug policy in the school, gone.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, what's that? All my friends are now hall monitors? Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, we'd be great running against each other. That'd be fantastic.
You just got me rounding up tweakers in the parking lot, being like, "Get in the truck!"
And it'll be great because, like, we'll both be the final nominees. We'll be competing for whatever position we're in, and they'll be like, "So we got reports that you're part of a podcast now, this Wicked Awesome Cast," and we'll be like, "We both secede from the election."
We can neither confirm or deny we are part of the Wicked Awesome Cast.
Yeah, but we officially.
I was young.
Stepping away.
I was young and experienced. You ran an episode last week. Young
and experienced. Things change.
Yeah.
I'm not the person depicted on that podcast. You say in that podcast, you are exactly who you are on that podcast. Shut up!
Yeah. Although I am interested in running for office at some point, though. Even if it's local government.
I'm not, because I'm like I said, I am literally the worst. I would be the worst politician. I run kind of hot anyways, and I tend to be kind of more honest than nice. I'm not always great at compromise. I can be pretty terrible at that. I'm stubborn. Oh yeah, all the qualities that would make me literally the worst politician that's ever existed.
I come from a town where a mayor, I come from part of the world where a mayor won and was reelected multiple times in a row on the campaign platform of that last guy did a real shitty job of snow removal.
That's amazing.
Like, it was a town I lived in. We thought he was a kick-ass mayor enough times to be like, yeah, that last guy was terrible at snow removal. Guy was a terrible person. Like, the stories that surrounded him, we kept electing him, though, because he was good at snow removal. It was a small-ass town that had, like, no money for anything else, and the previous guy had stolen the snow removal budget. We're like, yeah, he hasn't stolen the snow removal budget yet.
That's progress.
Yeah, this is better than the previous guy. And, like, you had people that had, like, ideas run against him, and he's like, yeah, but what are you gonna do about snow removal? We all were like, yeah, what is he gonna do about snow removal?
That's fucking smart.
That's the local politics I grew up in, and that's why my stance is, like, I'll fucking get the tweakers out of Tahunga. I'm not gonna stop meth, I'm just gonna get the people that use meth down the hill to a town I don't live in. Getting up that hill on foot is hard.
So
It's all inclined.
So there we go. We would all be the best politicians, obviously.
Yes. Thanks for writing in, Mateo. Matteo. Yes, wickedawesomecast at gmail.com. So all that sounds down, show notes, etc., etc. That does it for this week. Anyone got any profound things they want to talk about before we get the hell out of here?
I got nothing in particular right now.
Nah, nothing here.
We are we are a not profound group this week. That's good to know. Left it all in the podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, I take it back. I'm hereby announcing that I am officially running for school class president again. This time the food will be better, I promise.
What school? I dare you to name a school near your house, near your
I
apartment.
am not naming a school near me. No.
Fair. That's fair.
That's all I need is somebody to listen to the podcast and be like, oh, he knows the schools in the area. That's all I need.
You're on a list now, boy.
Yep. Hard pass on that one. But yeah.
I just imagine the schools near you having really weird names because Portland.
Probably. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. No streams to announce or anything?
Nothing right now. I just did my 24-hour stream, and so thank you all for anybody who jumped in and checked it out from the podcast. I will be streaming some of my own stuff again here because I do want to do one more like marathon 24-hour podcast or stream before the end of the year for Extra Life. So I'll be announcing it as that gets closer.
Cool.
Probably in December.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. If you give me a link to that, I'll put it in the show notes so people can find it easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing on your end, Henry?
Nope. Nothing really coming up.
I'm probably going to post more pictures of my dog to my Instagram, and I'm growing plants now that maybe we'll have photos. But yeah, in theory, I will be setting up the studio in the next couple weeks. So maybe videos and streams will be back.
Cool.
Who knows? I might stream Quiet Man because I hate everyone that listens to this. And myself, most of all. I need to talk to someone about that game who's played it just to be like, yo, at what point did you realize you were wasting your life? Well, Henry, have you learned the important lessons from last week of how the hell we end this thing?
No. Not really.
Henry?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Want to teach him again, Alex?
Sure. Cue the metal.